We are live with the Pontificators. We are like news breakers here. We are breaking some news today. We are going to break bad with some bleeding fool info. I know everybody's been waiting for the follow-up to the Whispered Network article, and we have it, people. We have it right here on Pontificators. I feel like we're all like journalists now. Like this started off as like we would just talk for hours and hours about comic books and our fandom. And now we're like news breakers.
If we're journalists, we're awful.
Yes.
Well, we're somewhat news journalists. So
I'll
how you
take
been?
that press pass though.
Yeah, oh, that would be nice. So how you been, Chester? What's up?
I'm doing really well. I'm busy, but I got up early and here I am, dude.
Yeah, we appreciate you. Chester actually had a bunch of stuff to do, and we've been moving around times and days, so it's been a little bit of hell on Chester because he lives in Japan.
Well, I'm actually sitting in the hotel lobby in Tokyo right now, but hey, rock on.
Oh, very cool. Very cool,
Were
man.
you on vacation, man?
God, no, I wish. No, meetings, business meetings, dude. I've been on so many planes in the past a few months, I can't even... I got frequent flyer miles though. That's a good thing.
Well, you have been missed here on the program, my friend. So we got Bob. What's up, Bob?
I'm I'm interested to see what comes out of this thing, man. There's a lot of crap going on, man. It's a lot of ugliness. I'm hoping maybe we can clear some of this up and get back to normalcy.
Very good. So how you doing, Zach? What's up?
Doing good. Kids at like daycare and stuff. So, and then I got this in, and I was all excited. So,
cool.
I got my package from you, so I'm all happy about it.
That's awesome. I'm talking to Bob in the chat.
Yeah, that's
How about
helpful.
Todd? How are you doing, Todd?
Doing really good. What's going on? Are you going to do Drawn and Quartered tonight, Zach?
I'm gonna try.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's being handled by Booster on his channel. Well, no, Booster will do a good job. He's in charge of the Drone and Quartered anyway, because Pixel's got his baby out, so he's he didn't put it out, but his woman did. But anyway, so he's kind of busy, so Booster's taking over those responsibilities, and he's a good big boy now. He's actually doing the responsible stuff. So.
He's all grown up.
He is.
Where are you going to be?
In a meeting, which I'll be leaving for in a couple hours. It's 5 a.m, Todd. It's 5 a.m.
Yeah, Chester's a badass. Shut your mouth. He's a responsible journalist. So don't mess with him, Todd.
That's right.
Yeah. Oh, I have to show you guys this. We just got these yesterday. We got the chrono cards in. Look at these bad boys.
Neato.
Yeah, so we got Doug the Rocker, and we got Oot, the bad boy with a club. And then, of course, to round it out, we got the lovable Zin.
I relate to Oot.
Oot Smash. Where is Joe Thunderbuns, man?
He said he was going to be in ASAP.
Well, there is ASAP, and then there's, I guess, ASAP as it relates to Joe Thunderbuns. So anyways, you guys, if you haven't heard, we did last week, actually it's been 2 weeks now, I think, with the Whispered Network's Bleeding Fool article about Penny's article where she got inside scoop on that there is truly a female Whispered Network that is in cahoots and trying to basically police the comic book industry. And so we broke that news. It wasn't last week. It was the week before, right, Todd? I think it's been
actually, it's been like 3 weeks.
It's been like 3 weeks, man.
3 weeks.
Okay. So 3 weeks. So everybody's been waiting for this follow-up. So we have the article here. So, man, where is Joe? He's letting me down. I'm gonna go forward anyways because we only have Chester for a little bit of time, and I know that the chat is eager to get involved with this. So let's go. Wait, actually, we should kind of BS a little bit more. I think I don't think it's dropped yet. So do you guys have anything to add? I'm getting a little nervous here because I was told a certain time.
I'm actually reading through the thing here, trying to just to data mine this thing.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
I have some aside stuff that might apply.
Okay.
I've been paying attention this week because I've been really busy over here, and but I have my tablet, so I've been kind of going through the tablet and checking out stuff, and I've noticed that a certain Ms. Heather Antos has been really, really busy. She is trying to correct everyone's incorrect racial opinions, and she's just yelling and screaming at everybody because she has more black friends and other whatever woke minorities that we are currently hot topic, and she's saying that she's more important than we are because she knows them better.
Yeah, there's been a lot of I guess reverse racism that's been happening these days.
Right
on Twitter. Yeah. I don't know what these guys, if they know the word of hypocrisy and hypocritical thinking and behavior. But they're basically the textbook version of those things. Well, let's go. Candace says it's up now, so I don't want to step on any toes. So let's do this. Let's share this with everybody. This is the Bleeding Fool article. So you guys send Bleeding Fool some lovin'. I think they do take donations. I think somebody told me there's a donation button. So give them love. Because I believe that they pretty much are nonprofit. So this comes to us from our friend Penny Parker again, and this is the Whisper Network Part 2: Media Cover-Ups and Coordinated Future Attacks. So hold on for a sec. I'm getting a little congested. Since exposing the Whisper Network, tips and testimonials have flooded into Bleeding Fool inbox from all corners of the internet. It feels like a tectonic shift is happening, and we're still nowhere near done decontaminate. What is that? Done
decontaminating the comics industry.
Perhaps the series will be enough. What is that? Disinfecting light. Oil. Those wicked plans, and I guess we'll see. So do you want to read this, Chester? Can you see this?
Yeah, sure.
Thanks.
For this installment, I'm going to first present an untold history lesson of a massive crime that was initially reported and swiftly followed by a media cover-up that I think a lot of people completely missed. Sometimes it's what the media doesn't report that makes a difference. It's true. Then we will go back inside the secret Women of Comics Facebook group, where I will demonstrate why I think this popular DC Comics writer is the next target of the Whisper Network. And while we're in there, let's expose who the head honchos of the group are, shall we?
Ooh, I like this. All right. Let's keep going.
All right, but before we dive in, let me quickly recap and answer the most common reactions to Part 1 of the Whisper Network expose. All right. Is this thing even real? All right.
We have an arrogant female Whisper Network member right there. This is an accurate depiction. This is spot on. I'm not sure who this individual is, but she looks hot.
Yep, she definitely is, yeah. Oh, sure, the Whisper Network exists, but 99% of the time we're not even talking about guys. A few days after Part 1 dropped, with Amy Chu casually confirming the existence of the Whisper Network, which she dubbed the Arrogant Female Whisper Network on Twitter. Doesn't that sound like a great name for a brand merchandising? Amy Chu says, by the way, I am a member of the Arrogant Female Whisper Network, which is neither run by Gail nor Alex, as he claims. And thanks for the new name. We are talking about enamel pins or stickers. Nice. And this is precisely why we have a closed group for women, binary trans pros. Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
So they got this name and did this shirt because I called it that. That's funny.
Well, there you go. Yeah, we are exposing the arrogant female whisper network run by Gail Simone and Alex DeCampi. So they're responding directly to Todd's tweet here regarding the Pontificators original show, dropping the Bleeding Fools article. And Chris was honest with that. So that's interesting that they're...
Way to go, Todd. Yeah, you pissed off an already pissed off female whisper group.
Yeah.
And I wonder why Reddit came after you. I wonder.
No, actually, if you go to Amy Chu's tweet, you see she got no traction on the tweet where she pointed me out. There's a little traction on this, but because I'm attached
Not
to
really.
it, but right, not much. But if you go to her one where she like uses a finger and just says, "Look here, this guy," it has one like. So
yeah, right.
Go, Amy Chu.
I think it's interesting that we actually got on their radar so quickly, Art. It's good for you, dude. Kudos.
Yeah.
Claps for Art.
Good for Todd. Good for Todd.
Yeah. Well, for pissing him off, but I mean, you're the boss. So.
But now they have the new name, the Arrogant Female Whisper Network.
That's right. Thank you.
That's awesome, Todd. Congrats.
I do find it interesting that she's really interested to make sure that we know that Gail and Alex are not in charge.
Yeah, Amy Chu's in charge. I'm just kidding, Amy. Don't get crazy.
Okay.
But she does know how to kill a good donut.
Yeah, okay. Well, she's a donut killer. But she has a set of tweets here, and she says, "This is why the bathroom line is so long at Comic-Con. We all go together to plot the destruction of the comic industry. Also, rest assured, 99% of the time, we're not talking about guys. More likely, she wants to say, she's not a writer, is she?
Yeah, she is.
Oh Jesus! How tired we are, and lots of cat pics. That's you're hurting yourself. You're not helping yourself, Amy. In fact, this is damning evidence of much larger conspiracy beyond us to turn everything we do and make it about guys.
Yeah, but she's not denouncing that they're not trying to get people canceled, though.
No,
all she's doing is denouncing the fact that they're not always talking about guys.
She's deflecting is what she's doing.
So way to go, Amy.
Very poor English grammar, which I'm disappointed.
Amy and I worked together. Yeah, Amy and I worked together on a Poison Ivy story together. I like Amy, but let's keep seeing if hopefully I can still like Amy after this.
Oh, goodness. Here we go. Is she trying to convince her followers that this secret group for women, non-binary, and transgender pros that I've uncovered only exists to talk about how tired they are and share cat pics 99% of the time? Well, as Alex DeCampi has replied to those men who claim to be innocent of sexual assault, cute, but we don't believe you. We're all guilty. Look at Bob's face. Bob is definitely guilty. Look at him.
Guilty by birth. By birth. I blame my mother.
Bob. You want to do some reading, Bob, or you want me to continue?
Dude, I'm still going through this thing. I'm looking for I'm looking for that smoking gun, man.
All right, cool. I'll keep reading. No problem.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff.
Oh, no, I just don't want to spread the love if you guys like. But part one recap. In part one, we learned that 440 plus women who are either in the comic book industry or connected to it have a secret invite-only Facebook group where outsiders can only find and gain access to it if they know where to look. Who to ask or can get approved by top moderators. More on who those top moderators are later. Well, thank you very much there, Chris. Members of... Well, did Chris write this article or someone else?
I think this is Penny. I think she's
Penny, okay.
She's our inside reporter.
Okay. Members of this club include Zoe Quinn, Gail Simone, Mags Visaggio, Heather Antos, Tamara Bonvillain, and many others that regularly implicated, or at least tertiary to more scandals that I could fit in 100 articles. I don't think that's how you wanted to say that, baby. Anyway, and while the majority of the group's members have very mundane engagements or inactive accounts, a handful of them are very active.
Yeah, one bad apple named Heather Antos will spoil the whole bunch.
I guess. I suppose, you know. But I don't know who's this chick doffing the glasses here.
Todd,
That's
did
not
you have
Antos.
insight on who
Oh,
that?
that's Trish something. She goes by Dan Fan. She's got a huge YouTube following and is working on a comic book called Orgasmo Girl.
Yeah, she's a
Ooh,
good
I
kid.
like that.
Yeah, she's a
Sounds
good
very
kid.
sexual. All right, sweet. After reading through part one, YouTuber Dan Fan, there you go, above, humorously dubbed Alex DeCampi the Regina George, of the group, while also noticing how Rich Johnson of the comic-centric website Bleeding Cool frequently managed his site as more of a personal PR department for DeCampi, along with a writer named Stephanie Cook, acting as a sort of apprentice to Alex. I think it's time we took a look at Miss Cook. All right.
Let's do this.
All right. Stephanie is a Toronto-based comic book writer and editor, and is also a podcaster and critic. All right.
Oh, by the way, that sounds like a dating bio.
Yeah,
like, remember that old show, The
Welcome to-
Dating Game? Stephanie is a Toronto-based comic book writer. Come on down.
Yes, I'm shaved, not trimmed. She found various creators-focused websites like Creator Resources, Rogues Portal, and Creator Advisor, where she
Wait, let's back up. Rogues Portal sounds a little sexual.
We go check it. You want to investigate?
No. I just mean it sounds sexual. I don't.
It might be
any port in a storm, you know.
Well, sure. Well, you notice with a lot of these women's these part of this group, when they do their tweets and stuff, they're often quite edgy when it comes to sexual things. And it's weird because it's one of the things they complain about, I do believe, Zach, right?
Yep, all time.
It's kind of weird. Anyway, the Creator Advisor, where she says she endeavors to give back to the comics community that she loves. She says she does it because it can be extremely toxic and discouraging at times, but I really believe in the potential of what comic book industry can become. I want to help steer that ship toward progressive, inclusive transparency and to just generally be better. So she works with the comic book community as much as possible to help foster safer and more inclusive spaces for all.
I'll tell you, Stephanie,
Really
I've
nice.
been doing this for almost 40 years now. And it used to be a really safe place until SJWs and those types actually came in and made it toxic. So congratulations, Stephanie.
Congrats. She's such a caring person.
Yeah, because, it wasn't a caring industry before Stephanie got in and tried to fix it.
No. Got that? Now we're all caught up. Let me show you where I'm going with this. All right, Penny.
Felony charges. Holy shit.
Yeah, felony charges and the disappearing news coverage. If a Hugo Award nominated and Eisner Award winning comics writer publicly accused someone else in the comic book industry of a felony crime, would you expect the comics media report it once again, write this correctly, to report upon it? The media sure made a big deal when the late, great Stan Lee accused his assistant of theft, but when New York Times bestseller and legendary comic book pro Bill Willingham, the man responsible for the award-winning DC Vertigo book series Fable, which is great, Fables, I recently accused his assistant of embezzling, that story got memory hold. Ooh. His assistant had been
I remember
very
that
eager.
one. I remember that one.
Yeah. His assistant had been very eager to break into the business years earlier, and everything was presumably going well until he began to notice that a lot of his money had gone missing. 3 years into her employment, Willingham became convinced that his assistant had betrayed him and that she had embezzled in excess of $10,000 from his accounts. That's not nothing, dude. Willingham filed charges with the local authorities and a criminal case was launched. That female assistant in question just happened to be one of the Western Network's rising stars, none other than Stephanie Cook.
Whoa, Stephanie Cook. Ooh, is that a picture of her? She's so adorable.
She is just Miss Cute Looney Tunes. Yeah, that's exactly what I look for in a woman. Will she stab me in the middle of the night or start waking me up proper? I don't know. But that was a sex joke, Zach. You can have it. Thank you.
What?
Either way, it's hot.
Joke, Zach. Like, I don't know what a BJ is. Sure, buddy.
Thank you. Thank you. That's good. In fact, I'm sorry, Joe's not here. I usually pick on him.
He's in the next room. He says, "Finally, I'm here."
Oh, let him in. Let him in, Art.
All right, let's go. We'll come back. Maybe Joe can help out with some of the heavy lifting. Hey, Joe, what's up?
Oh, not much. Just sitting around, twiddling my thumbs. I heard there was a news story.
There is.
We're breaking it right this very minute.
I've been reading through it as you guys have been talking. Interesting
Everybody's
stuff, huh?
riveted. What's that?
Interesting stuff, huh?
Yeah. Chester's embellishing as he goes along, which is amazing. I missed you, Chester. Jeez.
Well, thank you.
We all did.
Never do the show without you.
Well, I appreciate it. I'll do my best to embellish right into Zach's heart.
The
Why are you
slacker.
pandering to me so much? Why?
I love you, Zach, man. You're the golden boy, dude. You're the future.
Bullwinkle's G friend. There you go. I never knew Chester was awake at this time of day. Well, I'll tell you what, Chester's so dedicated to this program that he woke up early and he's broadcasting live from, did you say a hotel lobby?
I am. That's right.
Yeah.
At 5 a.m., 5:30.
5 a.m. in the morning. Yeah.
He's drinking his coffee and eating his scrambled eggs.
Well, no, they're not open yet.
They're not even open yet?
No, I'm going to walk over when they do because I see them milling around in there. So, yeah.
What time is it where you're at, man?
5:25 in the morning.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Will it be scrambled fish egg?
They might be. Actually, I didn't see it yesterday because I slept in and went out and got some lunch. But it's probably this place I'm in. It's probably a Japanese breakfast. Yeah. So oh well.
So fish eggs it is.
Yeah, fish eggs it is. Yeah, miso soup and grilled fish.
With bacon on the side.
No, I wish. Yeah.
That'd be
rice
awesome.
on the side. Yeah.
Rice on the side.
So the next part of this is interesting because it actually there's a woman who actually corroborates Willingham's story here.
All right, let's go back because we only have Chester for a brief moment. So I want to make sure that we can get through the majority of this before we have to say bye to Chester. So we just followed up with Bill, and who is this? Stephanie Cook, who embezzled money from him.
10 grand.
She's adorable. Look at that face. Okay, so now
it's the face of a sweet, innocent, well-meaning, good intention comics pro.
There you go. And she's just happens to steal money, Joe. Okay, so let me continue. In fact, Bill Willingham made the incident very public, releasing the news to the comic industry press with the following statement. It needs to be reported that during the 3 years she worked for me, Stephanie Cook embezzled and outright stole from me in a total in excess of $10,000. Unfortunately, I can't give you anything approaching the exact figure yet, and we're still uncovering instances of theft. Bill Willingham, September 19th.
You know what, Chester? You nailed it. That sounded exactly like Bill Willingham.
I have no idea.
That was a great impression.
I went Cronkite on us. That's all right.
I went Cronkite.
All right. Here's an excerpt from that published statement. Recently, it has come to my attention that my former personal assistant, Stephanie Cook of Toronto, Ontario, there's the problem right there, has been seeking new work in the comic books field or as a personal assistant. Specifically, I referenced this on September 4th. She tweeted, hey, comics pros, need an assistant to help you get stuff done? Check out what I can do for you. That tweet links to her blog site and her pitch. Comic book pros, I know how badly you can be in need of help in your lives. When you're focusing on putting art and writing out there in the world, it can be hard to remember to do things. That's where I come in. And it goes on from here,
You know what? This
from
sounds
there.
Good. How much does she charge?
I don't know.
I could use a Stephanie Cook.
Your career.
Your career.
I remember the Atlantic City rates. I'm not sure.
Your retirement.
Zach, that was a sex joke. That was a sex joke.
You know what?
And it goes on from here, from there. Mention your past experience and examples of the various services she offers. It needs to be reported that during the 3 years she worked for me, Stephanie Cook embezzled and outright stole from me to a total in excess of $10,000. Unfortunately, I can't give you anything approaching an exact figure yet, as we're still uncovering instances of theft.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, he's been going through his finances. This is, by the way, this is still active.
Sure, that was
still active
5 years ago.
That's pretty scary when he's thinking like, I still haven't gone over all my finances. This figure could be higher.
Yeah, no, it's that's the problem when you have a personal assistant. You got to watch out, right? I mean, I got me a secretary, one of those proper type secretaries, not the phone answerers, right? And I had to make shh. But you have to make sure you hire the right person, right? Because they have access, right?
Yeah, and I assume Bill was paying her on top of the thievery.
Sure. Of course, yeah. Well, Bill talks about police charges he is pressing. Gives a case number for the proceedings and says that the reason he is taking this public is to prevent Cook from working in a similar fashion elsewhere. Well, thank you very much, Bill. He then interviews himself in a Q&A article in which answers himself. Well, come on, Penny. In which he answers himself with a list of allegations of fraudulent behavior against Cook, including withdrawing too much salary on his cards and using additional amounts of his money to fund her own project. By social media followers and fly to Boston for a show, claiming someone else was paying. And he states that if she comes back to the U.S. from Canada, she may be arrested. Dun, dun, dun. All right. Well, according to the folks I spoke with, Cook was well known by Willingham's friends and family, and everybody knew this had happened. They also told me that this was considered an open secret in the comic business. For some reasons, those I spoke with have been privately discussing Cook's embezzlement since 2015, but none dared bring it up publicly. For them, Cook's name had strangely become a sort of Voldemort who cannot be named. Perhaps because of her reputation and media connections, they're worried about some kind of backlash to their careers if they spoke out, even if everything they were saying was completely true.
All right.
To hammer the point home even further, another source for this alleged crime spoke up. One of the most respected women in comics appeared to have had some knowledge of the theft case. Mimi Cruz, co-owner of renowned Utah-based Night Flight Comics, gave credence to Bill Willingham's 2015 public statements, backing up his claims. The following was posted on her official blog, and she also linked it from her Twitter account. Now, I have to say, you guys done your due diligence over there. They went and researched this right up, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If Bill Willingham, has reported this to the police and has a case number, it is not a joke. Stephanie Cook should already be trying to make restitution. Public sympathy will not keep you out of jail. That's true. I applaud Willingham for making this situation public and in turn, hopefully preventing others from being victimized in the same way. Mimi Cruz, Night Flight Comics, September 22nd, 2015.
What a stand-up lady.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, most women are good. Yeah.
Except
got a couple
the ones
of,
that are part of Whisper Networks.
The 400 plus. Yeah, those. We found all the bad ones. You do have some super chats over here, Art.
Okay, thank you. I will come back. Oh, Adam Friended, you are awesome. All right, let's click this. Adam Friended, drop your screenshots, Art. We need transparency. No. And then Mr. Cobblestone, You won't have to pay Stephanie anything, Art. Sounds like she'll just help herself.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I don't know why. I think sometimes you always hear like people that give their personal assistants access to their bank info.
Never a good idea.
You hear this story. It's quite common, and I don't know why they do that.
I do it. I understand why.
Oh, you do it?
Yeah. I told you I have a secretary, and she has access to mostly, well, not everything, but she has access to government, not government, but company cards and et cetera, et cetera. She does.
But you trust her because her name isn't Stephanie.
No, I've known this girl quite a long time. She was actually a student a couple of decades of mine ago, and she went to university, came back, and I hired her.
And how long has she been working with you?
Oh, gee, I don't know, 12 years, I guess.
Well, good. You're in a good place. She's probably not ripping you off. Probably.
No, I know. Well, my wife is actually a money economics person, so yeah, I guarantee you she's not. But because part of this comes down to not paying attention at all to your thing, and that's part of the problem. Even if you're the boss, you need to pay attention to what your employees are doing from time to time, and obviously he didn't do that, and then when he finally did, he found a discrepancy, I guess.
Yeah, because we have a corporate credit card, so everything's itemized. Every month, so it's pretty easy to check. But like you said, I mean, when there's trust, you just go along with it. You just move forward. So he apparently really did trust Stephanie Cook. So you guys want to get back?
Yep.
Thanks you guys for the super chats. Let's go back.
And William, actually, this is William providing an update the last couple of weeks here. Oh,
nice. Okay. All right. I agree with Mimi Cruz, and believe that Mr. Willingham has no motivation to lie. The local police were apparently provided with enough evidence to open a case and begin their investigation. All right. While verifying my story, our editor reached out to Bill Willingham himself and confirms that the criminal case filed in Dodge County, Minnesota, against Cook is indeed still active. And Willingham also offered the following comments this week. Emphasis added.
Ooh, this is really detailed. This is good.
It is. This is good actual journalism here. I don't know if she ever retained counsel. She threatened to, and at a time, I hope she would try to sue, since the evidence against her was overwhelming. No new evidence has come to light, unless you count my continuing to go through more old bank records to see how wide-ranged her thieving went. Forensic accounting may be the most tedious of all jobs, and I pretty much had to do it all on my own. So then...
He should hire an assistant to go over all that.
Yeah, he should have. Yeah, go to the Whisper Network. They got a bunch of them. That's pretty much all they do. So then, not only has Miss Cook gotten away with it, unless she does something incredibly stupid before the statute of limitation expires.
We should invite her into the States here, maybe Minnesota, like for a convention.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Yeah.
And then like just slap the cuffs on her.
Get her in one of those
joke, by the way, guys. I don't want to see any of that happen.
How do you honey pot a honey pot? I'm not really sure. Joe, help me.
I don't mess with honey pots, man.
Well, you got to watch out for them. So then, not only has Miss Cook gotten away with it, she cost me hundreds of hours of dull labor piecing together the extent of her crimes. Out of sheer embarrassment, I almost stayed quiet about what she did as far as telling the comic community about her, because I really did make it ridiculously easy for her in most any way imaginably. I get it. It was when she started advertising her services around as a potential personal assistant to other comic book pros that I thought I had some sort of responsibility to speak up. Well, you did. I did that then and again now. People in our business have been duly warned, and I hope that I can go back to banishing Stephanie Cook from my thoughts. All right. So a living legend in the comics business accuses his employee of felony theft and makes very public statements about it that were published in the media. Multiple sources back up his claims, and a criminal case was started. One might imagine. Art went and changed my page, and I can't read now.
Dig if you will.
He had one of those moments.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Dig if you will. Let's keep going.
Okay. Remain in media. Multiple sources backed up his criminal cases was stated. Right. One might imagine no one. Oh God, go down.
Sorry.
One might imagine no one could survive such a public mess. Stephanie's career in comic books was most certainly in peril now that the comic press had gotten a hold of this incredible story. But here's the thing.
All right, comics media. Okay, I'm with you.
Comics media either ignored or outright censored the story.
Ooh.
In fact, while CBR, Newsarama, Comics Alliance, and The Beat all were completely silent on the matter, the only high-profile comic news website that apparently covered the story was none other than Bleeding Cool. As you can see in the screenshot from Night Flight Comics I shared above, Mimi Cruz linked directly to the following Bleeding Cool article on her official blog on September 22nd, 2015. Could Bleeding Cool be the only media outlet that gave any attention or credibility to this story?
Let's find out.
On September 21st, 2015, the story was ranked as the 11th most popular news item on Bleeding Cool, right behind 3 stories attacking artist Frank Cho.
Frank Cho's art is way too sexy.
Yeah. Goodness gracious. That's how a pig fights back. By the way, I get the feeling tomorrow may be a big day on the site. Get your bookmarks ready. But first, what we have been reading on Bleeding Cool this past week, apart from Frank Cho's sketchbook covers, that is.
Top 20 track.
Rich Johnson. And there you go. So basically, Frank Cho wants a fight. Oh my goodness! This is 5 years ago. I remember that.
Yeah.
You guys remember Frank getting attacked like that? Yeah.
Oh yeah. And then I remember Frank coming out and just bending the knee.
And I remember Comicsgate supporting him.
Yeah.
And then I remember him saying "F you, Comicsgate."
Yep.
Yeah. There you go.
Has it been that long? Time flies.
Attitude for you.
But something strange happens when you click on that particular story link. It takes you to a blank page. Oops, that page can't be found. Looks like nothing was found at this location.
And it still does. All the other links still work. That one doesn't.
This smells of hanky-panky.
It does. Yeah, that's a sex joke, Zach. It's a sex joke.
One more, and I'm gone, buddy.
I love you. I love you. It's worth noting that every other link on this top 20 traffic of the week page still works perfectly. Oh, there you go. Thank you. Why would the only deleted article in that list be the one where Stephanie Cook was credibly accused of embezzlement by Fable's creator, Bill Willingham? Why has it been scrubbed from the site after being such a hot news story? After all,
let's stop here and see what Bob has to say about this. Why do you think, Bob?
Well, it's obvious that they don't want this. They don't want more traffic on this.
Right.
You know, that's the only thing it could be.
Why? I just don't understand why the cover up. Like, why can't you just let the news article be the news article and let people think for themselves?
Because that would be journalism. That's not what Bleeding Cool is.
Man, this Rich Johnson is an amazing piece of work.
Yeah.
But last time we talked about the Whisper Network, Rich Johnson was brought in as possibly in cahoots with the Whisper Network. Am I correct there?
I do not know.
Because what their speculation that Rich Johnson was possibly,
absolutely,
basically putting a good spin, a good positive spin on the girls from the Whisper Network, and
well, of course, that's what I mean. Rich is that guy that, like, on one hand, he claims the protection of being a member of the media. And then immediately when it becomes, like, well, you have an obligation, it's like, well, I'm not really a member of the media. That's the guy you're dealing with here. So
Right.
This is not a surprise.
He's not a journalist, but he is a journalist. When
Right.
It's him. Yeah. So what do you have to say, Todd?
No, I was agreeing with you because that is true. He's simping for them all the time.
Ooh, he
Yeah,
used
and
the
it's
S
not-
word, Joe.
It's not just speculation. You can see the screenshots in the first article of him just slobbering all over Alex DeCampi, and in this article, we see him doing it with Stephanie Cook. So the speculative part before part one of the article series was that these women he's slobbering all over, hopefully that's only a figure of speech, is that they were in the Whisper Network. But what is absolutely known is him praising them over and over and over. And when we look at time and date stamps, it's often in conjunction with certain shenanigans that they're up to.
And definitely at this point, playing up Stephanie Cook's point of view versus Bill Willingham's. So that's what's
Absolutely.
going on here. So please continue, Chester.
Oh, very well. It's worth noting that every other, I already read that. Why would the only deleted article in this list be the one from Stephanie Cook, which credibly has been scrubbed, deciding such a hot news? Okay, after all, if it bleeds, it leads. In the general perception of what gets reported at Bleeding Cool, and head writer Rich Johnson is considered by many to be a media shark. Once he sees red, he attacks anything that moves, ripping. Do we really have to give him credit like that? God, he's such a cuck. Once he sees red, he attacks anything that moves, ripping apart any pro in his path. Oh God! But I must admit that he does seem to have a strange penchant for showing mercy whenever Whisper Network commandos are concerned. Sharp-eyed readers may have noticed that Alex DeCampi's name appears on the same page as the Cook story, where DeCampi, and I can't make this stuff up, is accusing a bunch of comic book industry pros of sexual misconduct without evidence. Oh, that's a daily basis thing for these people.
Yeah, that's nothing new.
Yeah. Alex DeCampi on Wonder Woman, the end of sensation comics and wider issues of sexual harassment. Okay. I encourage you to take the time to click all of these links I'm providing. I especially don't want anyone to miss how Rich Johnson ended that DeCampi article. You might be forgiven for thinking that Bleeding Cool is DeCampi's personal website or PR firm after reading this. Let it what he wrote. Oh, come on. Well, what he wrote sink in for a moment. Let what he wrote sink in for a minute. Okay,
All right,
is your editor? All right. If you are smart, you employ her. If you are even smarter, you listen to what she says.
Ooh.
Is Rich got a thing going on with DeCampi? I wonder. Can I see a picture of DeCampi, Bob? Can I see what this lady looks like? Because I know what Rich Johnson looks like.
Yeah, somebody get a picture. I'm gonna come
I
back.
gotcha.
Let's share this. She's a stunning gal.
I'm curious. Well, because Heather Antos is actually kind of cute. I get the fawning of the nerd over her. I do. I mean, she is the model for Gwenpool, isn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Oh well, you asked for it, man.
All right. The comic book, the Comics Bear says shenanigans. We got some shenanigans going on here, Comics Bear.
Oh,
here's all right. Are you guys ready? This is
ahead.
going to get this might be too hot for the internet. All right, you guys ready? I'm sorry, I shouldn't be mean. She's a stunning lady.
Oh,
She looks like a normal person.
Oh, I thought
normal
you were
lady.
going to show the sultry one with her hair covering her face like Cousin It.
I don't care.
Like Cousin It.
Well, that was
So
my
she's normal.
favorite.
She has one of those faces that could be really, really sweet or really, really bitchy, but no middle ground.
Yeah, it's
Well,
like the Wicked Witch lady.
Yeah, the Cousin It photo is definitely not sweet.
That's the one that's on her Twitter, right?
I think so, unless she's changed it.
Yeah. Well, let's not base everything on her looks, but this is.
Well, I just was curious because I've seen him. He does kind of fawn over to Campy. That's true.
Yeah.
So I was just kind of
yeah.
curious what she looked
Yeah,
like.
yeah. In the first article, if anyone in the chat wants to review that after we're done with this one, like I said, I hope it's only figuratively speaking, was slobbering all over DeCampi in the quotes that Penny Parker showed. And so, quite honestly, I think this is probably the best looking picture I've seen of her. She actually looks normal in this picture. In other pictures that she herself posts publicly, she's often. Well,
Rich is this is his into the industry. So
Ooh. That I don't know about these quotes over here. I'm drooling over the cards like salami thrown at a window.
That's a black and white yin yang gun sight patch.
yeah.
Oh, is it?
And here's the thing, guys. And like, she looks like a normal person, and she probably is a normal person outside of this.
Yeah.
The problem that I have with a lot of these people is they're operating on bad information. They got bad operating system. You know what I mean?
Sure. It's called being a Karen, Bob.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get back. Let's stop sharing. Let's get back to look at this. Look at all these handsome faces right here. All right. Let's go. Let's go back to the wall. All right. So this is DeCampi. So now we know what she looks like.
All right. I have known Alex DeCampi for over 15 years. Not only is she a very fine writer and innovator, her passion for the medium and creativity is evident in the way she cares about it all. She has a very annoying tendency to be right about most things, but as with Cassandra, oh, nice reference, Rich, it doesn't always turn out well for her. If you are smart, you employ her. If you're even smarter, you listen to what she says. And then you read her comics and feel clever, amused, moved, dirty, turned on, whatever she wanted you to feel that particular morning. Whether it's her own characters of trademarks for toys, there are a few better writers in comics right now. All these are reasons to hire her, not to blacklist her. I don't agree with that statement at all.
I'm not really familiar with her writing. What books does she write? And is she a good writer? Has anybody read anything that she's done?
She's got one thing that was optioned for something, and it's had some critical acclaim. It's called Smoke. But outside of that, it's like 6 other things. She does have a Kickstarter that was just funded successfully with somebody, but as far as her credits and length of period, she got into this industry through Neil Gaiman. She got a forward by him and a push by him because she did a documentary on his wife. I forget her name. She's a weird chick, but she was part of a documentary team that did this documentary on his wife, and then used her influence with that to help. To get Neil Gaiman to sort of give her a push into the industry.
Okay, so Neil Gaiman's a man, right? That helped Alex get in the comic industry?
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify.
Well, just keep in mind, she has far more like a documentary, short story, video things than she does comics. Although the one thing I have read from her was Messiah Complex.
Okay. Was it good?
I thought it was fine, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't say she's the best in the industry by any means whatsoever, but I mean, it was fine, especially, if you look at some of the fare we have to deal with these days. But it's clear that Johnson has a thing for her. It's obvious he has a thing for her. And that's fine. I have no problem with that. But if you're going to be a journalist, let's try to keep our perspective, straight, right?
Yeah.
Let's see. But she and I know exactly what is more likely to happen. You can read her Uncanny Valley Girl columns for Bleeding Cool, where she laid out the possibilities for digital comic books that some smart people are finally waking up to right here. Okay, and you can go look at her Tumblr. Oh my God, does Tumblr still exist?
Okay, so she writes columns for Bleeding Cool, and Rich Johnson is Bleeding Cool. Okay. So there's a connection there. All right.
There you go. And simping ain't easy. That's right.
Due diligence.
Due diligence. All right. In fairness to Stephanie Cook, she did proclaim her innocence on Twitter, and she also claimed she was getting a lawyer when the alleged embezzlement in Minnesota came to light. But afterwards, she swiftly fled the United States and returned to Canada, as you do. Was that to avoid facing charges or answering to the legal system through her lawyer that she claimed to have hired, or was she just feeling homesick? According to my sources, she never hired anyone, and she deleted any and all tweets where she claimed she was hiring one. As of today, according to all parties that I spoke with, this remains an open embezzlement case, and she has still not hired an attorney. And in Minnesota, embezzlement of this magnitude is punishable by up to 10 years in prison and or fines up to $20,000.
I bet Bill would just, want his 10,000 back,
Probably.
at this.
Yeah. Well, the problem is even now, if she's convicted, she could face up to 5 years in prison.
Well,
That's the reason. That's the reason why she bolted.
Yeah, because if she can't afford to pay him back 10 grand, she's not going to be able to afford the fine. But I seriously doubt if she would do any prison time.
Well, you never. Women tend not to get hit like men do. That's
Right.
true. According to Bill Willingham's 2015 statement from his original open letter, which Bleeding Cool wiped from their site, she could still be charged with embezzlement should she return to the United States. While I don't have the dollar amount of the alleged embezzlement, Willingham alluded to it being in excess of $10,000. If Cook were to be convicted of a felony for less than $10,000, it could still land her in prison for up to 5 years in Minnesota. That might motivate someone to lay low, not mention the incident anymore, or just wait out the statute of limitations.
Right.
If only there were someone who owned a small law firm in central Minnesota who could law-splain this hypothetical situation to us.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't think she's concerned about that. I think she's just concerned about the hit to her reputation if she loses the law case.
Right.
That I think is the motivation.
All right. Well, on the subject of transparency, Comics Beat, the workplace of Cook's fellow Whisper Network comrade, Heidi McDonald, nice to use the word comrade there, published...
So just to back up, I wanna, in case somebody's just coming in. Okay, so Stephanie Cook, the reason she's in a lot of this is because Penny, does anybody have her last name that wrote this article?
Penny Parker.
Penny Parker,
yeah.
Has found connections. So Stephanie Cook is part of this Whisper network that Heidi McDonald and Alex DeCampi is part of. So just to try to keep the connection there, so you guys can follow this.
Mm-hmm.
So go ahead.
Oh, no problem. Heidi McDonald published an interview with Cook back in 2018 where she wanted everyone to know that she's a big fan of transparency. There are a lot of problems with the comic book industry, as anyone who has been in it for a while can tell you. I think some of those problems could be solved with transparency. Well, thank you very much, Miss Cook. I found it interesting that Cook only seems to want to talk about transparency as it applies to men in the comic book industry, but not herself or her comrades. Strange that there was no mention of those embezzlement charges Mr. Willingham lobbied against Cook in the article. For that matter, there are no mention of it anywhere on the Comics Beat website, save one lone commenter with a good memory and an inquisitive mind who at least asked about it in the comics section of the transparency interview. Oh, very good on you there.
Is this Gavin here?
Yeah. Whatever happened with the accusations that she embezzled money from Bill Willingham? Was that ever resolved?
Man, you nailed Gavin. Man, you need to take this on the road. You need to do the stage act.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Comments certainly are closed on that subject. 9 months earlier, Heidi herself had posted the news that Comics Pros, a comics professional retail organization, was investigating misappropriation of organized funds by co-founder Gary Dills. So embezzled stories were fair game then. What changed? Other comic book websites also carried by the Dill story. When I look for the Stephanie Cook story, it's just not there. Certainly not a comicsbeat.com or anywhere else, apparently. Maybe inside the Whisper Network, beneficial friends can help make pesky problems disappear.
Possibly.
Yeah, possibly. It looks like there aren't any great matches for your results. So they did a search on the beat, and there was nothing there.
So, Bob, you moved forward on this. Is this pretty much all about Stephanie Cook, or does it get into some different aspects?
It does start getting into some different aspects. Like one of the things they talk about how she tried to get Scott Snyder to fire Blake Northcutt. Okay,
well let's cut to that. So there's Stephanie Cook. Tell me when to stop, Bob. Can you see this? So where do we get into?
Hang on a minute.
When you see the Whisper Network's next likely target.
Yeah, the Whisper Network's next likely target. That's the thing. This right here, like right there. See, comic feet down. Scott Snyder's at the top there. That's the guy they're going after now.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well,
I'm sorry. Was there a list? Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a list.
I was caught off guard.
Well, in case anyone's wondering, that's the lovely and talented Mrs. Biggins.
Yes.
Well, Miss Biggins, kudos, lady.
Kudos. Do you want Joe to take over some heavy lifting here, Chester, or do you want to keep going from?
No, I would be great. My eyes are going cross.
No, all right. Well, you're doing a great job, sir.
Thank you.
Would you like to take a breakfast break?
Well, it's actually about to open.
Well, go get some.
So it'd be nice to go get my plate. Yeah.
Yeah, go get some fish eggs and some bacon.
Yeah, so I can help you out with that too as well if you want me to help read some stuff here.
You're not touching my fish eggs. You stay off them, Bob.
So you want to take
I eat all your fish eggs.
I'll eat all your fish eggs and your bacon.
And your milkshake.
So from but this is not a joke.
Actually, I was at a different point, but okay.
Because I think this is where we start getting into that list, the Whisper Network.
Yeah. All right. So, but this is not a joke. Whisper Network members have been laughing at reports that came out in recent weeks about their group making light of what was reported or threatening legal reprisals, but this is actually far from funny. Stephanie Cook is writing books for HMH Kids. She organizes comic events. She's considered to be a trusted member of the media, which means she has the privilege of reporting and handling sensitive information. She's supposed to be helping hook up creators with paying gigs, and yet she has never answered for criminal charges that were leveled at her by her previous employer and award-winning, highly respected creator in the comic book industry. How many in the Whisper Network have ever heard of or knew about this alleged embezzlement beforehand or have kept quiet? CBR has published literally hundreds of Bill Willingham-related stories, but we're mum on this one. How many people knew about the subsequent media cover-up or perhaps even helped facilitate them? How many people in the industry have been victimized due to silence, something that Bill Willingham, Mimi Cruz, and others attempted to protect their peers from? No, I'm sorry, Michi, but this is not sharing cat pictures. This is not a joke. This is deadly serious, and a lot of folks have things to answer for. Meanwhile, let's take a detour from memory lane for now and look into some more recent history, maybe even peek into the future a little bit. And then here we have the odds for next week's phony Celebrity Comicsgate announcement. And who's at the top? Scott Snyder.
There you go.
All right, so the Whisper Network's next likely target. This is a tactic known as playing the long game, where the opposition builds their attacks in intensity slowly over time. Sort of a death by thousand cuts approach before the final blow, and then the real Twitter trial begins. On the social platforms, I've observed this pattern in the same handful of folks who frequently talk about taking down the quote-unquote shitty people, the worst of the worst, but only the folks who they allege attack marginalized groups and participate in hate groups. We know who they say they hate. Those right-wingers, the Gators, the Trumpers, ad infinitum. However, I'm convinced that this group or several members in it are targeting anyone with power. That's a big one right there. Anyone with power, regardless of the politics or the affiliations. And we have seen some of this happen recently. Guys, have we not?
Yes.
Ooh, raspberry. Yes, we have.
Yeah, potentially a target might be anyone that's they're jealous of, or anyone who has a job they feel entitled to. I've also noticed that nearly all the targets seem to be men.
Yes, actually, on Clownfish, Neon has speculated about this. So I do think it's all the above, and I like that all the dots are being connected now. So things that we've been speculating for the last couple years are actually starting to make sense now. So I do believe this is fact. I do believe these things are happening because they're not just isolated cases now. People like Bleeding Fool and Penny and Comicsgate are starting to connect these dots. Even Neon on Clownfish TV is observing the same trends and making the same connections. So
yeah, the unfortunate thing is that from what I've looked at in this, there's very little that's actionable, and that's unfortunate. So because, I mean, when it comes right down to it, just to play devil's advocate for a second here, pretty much this is just basically a group of people being shitty, and unfortunately, there's no law against that. Now you can look into it, and we can look into it and speculate on their motivations, what they're trying to do, and we do see some movement on these things. But this is incredibly devious.
But I'll tell you, they are starting to cross some lines as far as legality is concerned, because they're getting people canceled. They went after.
We saw what happened with Jay Lee.
Dynamite, and in turn, my Green Hornet Black and White deal was canceled, and then recently there are attacks going against Jay Lee, and they're trying to get him canceled. So these are legal situations, and I encourage, if there's anybody that's in the Comicsgate community that are legal, like attorneys or more legal minded, if they could get in touch with us, because I do believe the only way we're going to really be able to stand up is through lawsuits. Because the he said, she said, finger pointing thing, it just kind of seems like it just keeps escalating.
Yeah.
And they do one thing that we do not, that most sane, reasonable people do not, is they don't get people canceled. That's the scariest aspect to these whisper networks, and what these people are attempting to do is they're canceling people, which is messing with their livelihoods. And that's where I draw the line, and that's what I always like to shine put the focus on. So do you want to continue the first cut?
Yeah. First cut. Heather Antos, formerly of Marvel Comics, recently doled out a kick to the shins to Scott Snyder of DC Comics. It happened in August 28th, 2018. Does that date sound familiar?
Yes, it does.
Yep. There were several months after she left Marvel Comics, and was certainly not fired from Marvel for anything that amounted to bullying, harassment, rumor spreading, or trying to damage the career of her coworkers, has been speculated. She left the company voluntarily to become the editor-in-chief of esports betting website Unicorn on March 9th, 2018. And as reliable as ever, Rich Johnson gave her a wonderful send-off on Bleeding Cool. Oh, that's Rich. Scott Snyder, I was off radar with this being the kids last week before school starts. I missed this yesterday, but of course this. And this is from Andy Diggle, said comics are for everyone. There is no excuse for harassment. There's no place for homophobia, transphobia, racism, misogyny in the comics industry, comics criticism, or comics fandom. Don't be a dick. I actually agree with that statement. Unfortunately, we know they don't.
Well, we can't criticize comic books, but like you can say, like, I liked it or I didn't, and these are the reasons. But other than that, yeah.
Yeah, but no matter what reason you come up with, they'll say, "Oh, well, you're one of the ists."
Exactly.
So,
yeah, I'm back. What did I mix? Start from the top.
You missed everything.
Found the smoking gun. Heather Antos, she said, "I'm disappointed. I expected more from you, Scott." Which got one. By the way, look at one retweet, one retweet, and 8 likes.
Well, do you remember Scott, like in the previous Whisper Network article, where Scott took the pledge that we mocked on Pontificators?
Oh, yeah, that comes up in this.
Oh, it does? Okay.
Yes, it does.
Then go ahead.
Antos makes what seems like a subtle jab that implies you're not condemning CG quite quick enough for my taste, Scott. So that means that you're tactically supporting them, or am I reading that wrong? Some saw her tweet as simply Antos being Antos, taking a cheap shot whenever she sees an activity, and has therefore really nothing out of the ordinary. But was it really a random dig, or was this the beginning of something bigger? Comic has been labeled a hate movement by certain self-proclaimed social justice warriors and far less activists on Twitter, Heather Antos included. However, CG supporters and the industry pros who are either sympathetic or identify with the movement have always denied these allegations, claiming they are inclusive, that they treat everyone equally, love comic books, judge work by its merit, and simply don't like a lot of what they see in the current direction of the industry.
That is completely true.
Yeah, and yet for some reason, Scott Snyder has been compelled to repeatedly denounce the movement on his social media, because I remember in 2018, who was bigger than Scott Snyder in 2018?
Possibly EVS.
Maybe I'm talking about in the mainstream comic book industry. That was at the height of his Batman run. So you're talking about somebody who's like, he's got clout, and they're looking at somebody with clout.
I do have a question, if I might interject, though.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly why does it matter at all what Heather Antos has to say?
Well, because they have given this woman, they have signal boosted her opinion.
Who?
The mainstream industry.
And we don't listen to them anyway, so who cares?
Well, Rich Johnson at Bleeding Cool did, and also Chester, isn't she the milkshake girl?
Yes,
she is the milkshake.
Well, there you go. It's self-evident.
Yeah, there are multiple milkshake girls, but she's milkshake one.
Now
she is, and so I think she was dripping all over them offices.
Here's the thing, man. I agree with you. Like, if nobody signal boosted her, like her opinion, who would give a crap? Unfortunately,
that's my point.
She has given clout because of what happened, because of her quote unquote victim status. She has been given clout with the higher ups in the comic book industry. So they're all kind of, they're like, oh, she's one of those voices that everybody is supposed to listen to.
Mm-hmm.
And we praise victims, Chester, in this day and age. So she's the textbook victim, so we have to feel sorry for her.
Yeah, that's really good, because she is the model for Gwen Poole, and she's also, from what I understand, the model for Gwen Stacy and whatever that Spider Woman thing they were doing with her. So not only is she getting plenty of praise and attention, Spider Gwen, she has also been immortalized in the comic book. So privilege, anybody? Privilege?
Yeah. Anyway, the October surprise, the Whisper Network was really tearing things up through 2017, making crazy comments and trashing pros publicly and privately. But things began to shift in late 2017 after Aubrey Citizen, G.I. Joe comic, was canceled by IDW for low sales. At least that's what was reported, but his critical statement about 9/11 mourners probably didn't sit well with G.I. Joe customers, especially since he crassly decided to his provocative comments on the anniversary, to post his provocative comments on the anniversary, September 11th, 2017. This did little to quiet the extreme fringe left, but it planted a seed. Normal comic fans in the middle, on the right, and even many on the left, right here, were growing sick of this sense of hatred towards readers and the heavy-handed politics that writers were regularly inserting. They just want to be entertained, not scolded. Then October rolled around, and October 12th, 2018, Marvel writer Chuck Wendig was fired, in his own words, because of the negativity and vulgarity that my tweets bring. It was too much politics, too much vulgarity, too much negativity on my part.
Sure was.
Yeah. Then on October 25th, 2018, comic book professional Mark Waid of Kingdom Come fame, kind of, sort of, started a GoFundMe to pay for a lawsuit. He was accused of tortious interference and defamation by Indie Comics creator Richard C. Meyer, who started a GoFundMe of his own. As of this time, Meyer's campaign has raised $145,590, while Wade's has only raised $81,465.
By the way, I want to chime in here. Please, anybody that knows Zach, Richard Myers, please start putting pressure on your attorney. Have this finally moved to your state, and let's get on with it, because they're just trying to run your money out right now. And if this keeps going and you don't put pressure on this situation, it's just going to go on indefinitely, because this is a really important case. And I would hate for it to die just based on finances and not the case or the merit of the case itself. So Richard really needs to put some pressure on his attorney to get this thing moved along a lot faster.
Ethan's got a ton of money. Maybe he can throw some at it.
I don't think it's money at this point. I think because what is it? Mark Wade wants it to be moved to California, where tortious interference laws are a lot looser and a lot more liberal. So that's why this whole delay thing's happening. But I'd say to Richard, like, enough's enough. Like, fuck it, bring it to your state. I think is it Texas?
Texas,
in Texas, and then let's get on with this trial based on its own merits.
Well, it's going right now. If it were to go to trial today, it would be in Texas. It's in Texas. Mark is just trying to stall it so that they can move. He's trying to get them to say, okay, let's just go to California and get it over with.
Well, what Mark's trying to do is create a win-win scenario, because either he's going to break Richard financially, or he's going to get his way and have it moved to California, which is bullshit.
Yeah. But with all this sturm and drang, I surprisingly found virtually nothing happening in the Whisper Network after October 2018. For the rest of the year and for nearly all of 2019, the Twitterati seemed to be on their best behavior. They even stopped much of the trash talking and presumably any colluding behind the scenes. From what I could tell, I could find no threats, no bullying, and the rumor spreading had really died down. It remained relatively quiet until 2020. It's because they were concerned.
Right. If anybody's coming in, I believe this is still Penny's point of view, right?
Yes.
Okay, and she wrote the article, and she was the deep throat. She's the one that went undercover and found all this information in the female Whisper Network private chats.
And
so
one thing to add is that as far as the legal case goes, based on everything that your boy Zach has said, the delay isn't due to his own legal counsel. The delay is that in the process, they have to take turns. And so his counsel has filed everything they can file, but Mark Wade's counsel essentially has used every delay tactic at their disposal, get granted to them by the legal system. And for example, if they receive some document from your boy Zach's legal team and they have 3 weeks to respond, well,
they take the whole 3 weeks.
If they're able to respond on day 2, they're not going to respond until day 21.
Yeah.
And so, like Bob said, the matter of jurisdiction has been settled. It's going to happen in Texas, but to actually get the trial started, day 1 of court, I think the last time I heard Richard talk about it, it was scheduled something like summer or fall of 2021. I mean, it's
holy shit.
Dude, they're basically like we're gonna take the time to file every single piece of this stuff, and we're gonna take as much, and we're gonna take the full amount of time. They're basically, and it's very clear what they're doing. They're using stall tactics. They're hoping he's gonna
financially,
right. But it doesn't look like that's going to happen, because basically they're like, well, because what happens with the Richards attorneys is like they file their stuff, they put in their time for their hours. Now they're just in a holding pattern waiting. So he's not paying them every single day because they're not doing anything on his case.
Okay, so it's not like a retainer where they're to just hold them. They're only getting paid when they're actually actively working on it. Okay.
Right. So it's him running out of money is not really an issue at this point, at least from what he said. The problem is just waiting for something to happen.
Okay, good. I'm glad. That's better news.
Yeah.
And Art, I'm not sure you're supposed to take women and deep throat and put them together.
Oh, God,
problematic.
Anyway, Dateline 2020.
Everything's sexual with you, Chester. Everything.
No, it's not.
Dateline 2020. Yes, dude. You can, I could say turducken and you turn it into something sexual.
See what I'm saying? I know. Dame. Oksan iru ne. I'm sorry. I'm talking to a table of ladies. They know what the word deep throat means, and they're smiling at me.
All right. Yeah. Dateline 2020. The attacks resume on Snyder. One thing I've come to believe about the Whisper Network: they never forgive and they never forget. Yep. Even the tiniest cut will leave a trail of blood for them. On January 14th, 2020, it was none other than Stephanie Cook bringing it back around. who took the next swipe at Snyder. It's probably too soft to be considered a cancellation, but that probably wasn't the point. I believe it was designed to build a foundation for future attacks, thereby demeaning him and calling his character into question. Stephanie Cook on hiatus-ish at Hello Cookie. Please stop pitting creators against each other. Nothing good comes from that mentality. We're all peers and we're in this thing together. If you're not in comics to also help lift up your peers, then maybe comics isn't for you. And this comes from the article where comic scribe Scott Snyder isn't scared to train his competition.
Yeah. I remember that whole stuff that was going on. Yeah. I do have a quick question, a serious one though. If you go back up a little bit, Art, please.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, in this situation, it was said that this is a clever and cunning plan that they put together, is being suggested here by Penny. Are we giving them too much credit?
I think so, a little bit. I think this is just. I think one of them. I think there's a handful of them that are kind of out there, kind of trolling and looking for these things that they can latch onto. But I think the vast majority of them are just they join in on the frenzy.
Well, the campy's got plenty of free time, so I can get that. And hey, Pablo, my brother from another mother, he says Linda Lovelace. Yeah, baby.
Oh,
yeah,
God,
baby. Yeah, baby. Okay.
I think we should also keep in mind that this article series covers one Whispered network.
Yeah.
There are
supposedly multiple
in the industry.
Yes.
And once we get to the bottom of this, I do have some questions of this thing because I have some interest, some ideas here. But then there's a reply from Christopher Sebela, whatever the hell that guy's name is. Also, everyone in the writers' workshop never got hired for more than fill-in work. Well, maybe you suck.
Oh,
yeah.
Exactly.
Maybe comics isn't for you, Scott Snyder. Followed up breathlessly by verified Twitter user and proud Whisper Network ally Christopher Sebela, who also got in a tiny jab when Scott was being put down. I don't think this attack went very well for Cook because it didn't go viral and it didn't gain any traction. Yeah, see, we got two responses and 10 likes. A few months passed before the network lashed out again. I've noticed another pattern seems to be that they bring up the same petty grievances over and over again for years, if necessary, until it goes viral and or the media reports on it. Well, no kidding. They do. They go back and they dig up stuff from 20 years ago.
Yep.
On June 25th, 2020, we witnessed Alex DeCampi, shared here in part 1, saying that she doesn't believe that Scott Snyder would say no to abusing, harassing, and grooming and manipulating women, insinuating that he wouldn't intervene if he saw women being abused. Again, she gave no evidence to back up her insinuation that Mr. Snyder has ever sexually abused, harassed, or marginalized anyone, and yet without cause, she publicly let Snyder's peers, editors, friends, followers, co-workers, and even his wife know that she thought Scott was capable of these horrific offenses when she shared it with her 24,000 Twitter followers. I'm sure they all appreciate her opinions on the matter. Now, this is when he did that cringy friggin', pledge. Yeah.
He pledged to be a pervert.
Yeah, not to be a pervert. Yeah, as if you have to pledge that. But also keep in mind, did we just have, and was that Heather Antos, that said that maybe comic books isn't for him? Are you freaking kidding me?
I know, right?
This guy has done how much? You are nothing. You are nothing.
But
what they're talking about, by the way, is something that Scott did for a number of years while still working at DC. But he would mentor writers in a program that he some kind of training thing,
it's basically it's basically like
a writer's workshop.
Yeah, it's like boot camp for new writers and artists.
So they have
giving back to the community.
Yeah, he was doing the sort of thing that Stephanie Cook says: if you're not in comics to also help lift up your peers, then maybe comics isn't for you. Now, Snyder can at least point to doing these new writers workshops or new writers boot camp, they might have called it.
It's called the DC Comics Talent Workshop is what it was called.
Yeah, I haven't seen Stephanie Cook do anything similar that she can point to and say that she helped lift up her peers. So maybe comics isn't for her.
Maybe, and she doesn't have the talent to do such a thing anyway. She's just a gopher. But the thing with that is that's also tying into what we've seen recently, where a lot of women have been complaining because of the Me Too movement that men, particularly men in positions of power, are not mentoring women. Right, that's what they're getting at, and the reason they're doing that is because they're worried they're going to get hit with bullshit. Right. And this guy has already proven he's done it. And then keep in mind what they're twisting with this is the fact that he already had done that. She is speculating that he might well have been grooming them. That's what she's doing here.
Right.
This is
and this leads into, and by the way, that whole thing with the DC workshop, that leads into the accusations that Magdalena Visaggio leveled at Sean Gordon Murphy.
That's right, which are complete bullshit, and she backtracked, by the way.
She got ratioed to death on that.
She did, but I mean, this is disgusting.
The industry by Neil Gaiman. Didn't we establish that?
Yeah.
Oh God! Don't even give me a freaking Gaiman.
Do as I say, not as I do, Art.
So,
so apparently, somebody did mentor her and bring, help her, man, bring her into business.
And he has come under fire in recent weeks for not being a good enough ally and not doing enough.
I'm sure.
That's another thing we should touch on.
Some of these poor, underprivileged comics professionals. And I'll also just add in that it was Warren Ellis who brought in Gail Simone. And did such a great job mentoring her and platforming her. And lest we forget, Gail is one of the administrators of this Whisper Network, Women in Comics,
as well as she's not
one of the most recently departed Dynamite Comics former creators and people who decided to talk about Nick Barucci and his place in the comics industry.
Yeah. You know how I usually refer back to my mentors with thankfulness and praise for, helping a young RT bear, get situated and learn the craft. So thank you, Jim Valentino. Thank you, Walter Simonson. These people are just ungrateful to begin with. Like, you just can't give enough to them. Like, getting them started and opening doors for them isn't enough. You have to constantly be giving to them. Otherwise, they're going to turn against you. This is absolute insanity.
That sounds just pretty like a misogynist, Art. Maybe comics isn't for you.
Well, and here's the thing. A lot of them are doing this because I don't think they have the talent to have the staying power to actually remain relevant in the industry.
I think also it takes a little bit of you have to be a thankful person. You have to say, I'm not an island, and that there were many people that helped get me here. And another thing about this industry, it's a collective. Like, to think you're an island and that you're the only one and everything that you do is the most important thing. It's not. There were generations, there were artists before you that broke down barriers, that created a lot of the language that you use today. And we have to, as comic professionals, we have to acknowledge those contributions. But these people, they won't even acknowledge Scott Snyder. They're going to go after people that actually help them get into the industry, or Neil Gaiman, or these types. I mean, we don't have to be in lockstep agreement with our mentors. I'm not, but I'm never going to throw them under the bus either. You know what I mean?
Well, it's not about that. It's about power, Art.
It is. And Scott Snyder should have never bent the knee.
No, he shouldn't have. But
there's a little,
and he gets his ass handed to him.
Yeah. Well, and there's a little what goes around comes around that's going to be revealed in this article regarding Scott Snyder. Yeah. As for you guys in the chat, stay tuned, because as we continue to go through this, there's going to be an interesting little revelation about some of Scott Snyder's own activities behind the scenes. I'll put it that way.
Well, this is the campy one. When I first read this, when we broke this article a couple of weeks ago, This is the one that sickened me to the core because he does bend the knee here. And then Alex DeCampi's first is like, this is cute, but, like we don't believe you.
Yeah,
and
that's
it goes way
typical.
beyond this to things like speaking up and using your privilege to push change when you see that nobody of marginalized backgrounds are being hired as creators by a particular office, meaning the Batman office, or they're only given token books. No, it's merit-based, man.
Yeah.
If somebody went in there and they were marginalized, which also I think that's very condescending to refer to somebody as a marginalized human being. But anyway, if there was somebody that was marginalized and had a great Batman story, I'm sure the Bat Office would hire them, especially if they thought that they could make some money off of them. I think that there is still enough merit, especially at DC Comics, to get you a job. I don't think you're going to get a job just based that you're a marginalized individual. I'm sorry, Alex. That's just not how it works. I mean, eventually, maybe she'll live in a world like that, but I don't think it works that way at DC yet.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I was talking about, dude. Is I'm talking about the staying power of ability. You look at the guys that have that kind of tenure; they are true comic book talents.
Yeah, well, he
transcend generations. Right? Okay, so anyway, getting back to this, so she talks about this, and then Scott was the whole, men in comics say no thing. Then she continues to go on. She says, it goes to refusing work with publishers that continue to employ known harassers. It goes to saying no to all white male panels at cons or guesting at cons with no or only token numbers of marginalized creators as guests. It's all very nice to say pretty words of support and bless, but will you actually risk your comfort to dismantle the system? You haven't so far. Dismantle the system.
Yeah.
What is the one thing that we know about social justice warriors? They only know how to tear things down. They don't know how to build anything.
Right.
That's right.
But look what she's asking for, the paragraph, just the tweet before. It goes, no to all white male panels at cons. What the fuck kind of lunacy is this?
It's deeper than that, Art. She's saying with only token numbers. So what she's saying is no whites, all your minorities, throw them on stage all the time.
Yeah.
So,
and give them all of the real comic books to work on, not the quote unquote token books.
Yeah, the books where you got to cut your teeth and actually show that you got an ability before
Which,
you
by the way, Alex.
Else.
Yeah. By the way, Alex, everybody has to start at the bottom. Yeah. Nobody gets to work. Start at the top. Nobody, Alex DeCampi.
You gotta cut your teeth on Barbie before you can draw the X-Men.
You have to pay your dues.
Unless you're a YA author.
Well, and we saw what happened because of that, didn't we? The freaking Marvel just absolutely took a crap.
That's right.
All right. But would Scott Snyder be accepting of abuse towards women and harassment in the workplace, or is she saying that Snyder is somewhat of a sexist and a racist because he's not dismantling the DC comic system on which he is employed? Or is she simply bitter that his employer has only ever hired her to write one comic and then never employed her again? She certainly seems to be a prolific writer on Twitter, though. Maybe that's why Alex's de facto PR department gleefully turned her Twitter tantrums into a news story, because of course they did. And that's another.
I think this says everything you need to know about the situation. She's pissed because she couldn't get more work.
Yeah.
So now she's trying to, put some face to the blame. She can't out and out blame DC Comics because she still wants work there, but she can blame Scott Snyder, like it's Scott's job to hire her or to dismantle DC Comics. Let's just say that maybe Scott actually likes the way DC Comics is run. The only one that seems to have a problem with it is her. Like, Scott's making it work. He's writing books that are selling. He's contributing to the mythology of the DC universe. My gosh, like American Vampire, that first series was exceptional. I thought it was great. So this guy is putting stuff out and contributing. Let's just say maybe DC didn't like what she wrote and said, thanks, but we're just going to move on to something else. You know?
When your pronouns and your surface traits are what you lead with, as far as your credentials, your talent is going to be called into question.
Yes. Well,
that's all there is to it.
Yeah, it's not just Alex DeCampi that has a problem with it, Art. It's also such luminaries as Stephanie Cook,
Tess Fowler,
and Mags Visaggio,
or the nom de plume that she's using in this. It's
Magdalene Francis.
Yeah, as if that's gonna fool anybody when you have the exact same picture on your friggin' Twitter on your friggin' identity.
To be fair, when you put those 4 or 5 together, we might as well be talking about the whole industry.
Yeah.
The only reason I brought up Alex Campy is because she's the one that's singling out Scott Snyder here.
Yeah. Or is she something bitter that his employer only ever hired right? Let's say so. Then it goes. Here's Rich's thing: a potential empty gesture. Comic book creator, novelist, director, and former Bleeding Cool columnist Alex DeCampi replied to Scott Snyder's pledge, saying, "This is cute." Blah 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 things. And then underneath that, it's the same thing she said. Underneath that, the comic creator Tess Fowler made a similar point. Gentlemen, it's great that you can post a graphic and a hashtag, but what are you doing to overhaul the rigged system that you're currently benefiting from? I'm so effing tired. What did y'all tell?
Fucking prove the rigged system, Tess Fowler.
Oh my God.
There's very, very powerful women in comics. There always has.
Yep.
I always bring up Jeanette Kahn. She ran DC Comics, Tess Fowler. That is as high as you can go. That was a female. Also, Karen Berger ran Vertigo. She created the imprint. Come on, man.
Yeah.
This is not a true narrative at all.
You want more books? Get good.
Yeah, exactly.
And it didn't take long for Alex's chum Stephanie Cook to coincidentally land another strike at Snyder. Show you this is all happening in a very organic manner and not at all organized beforehand. From Stephanie Cook. While we're at it, Scott Snyder take this pledge to say no, but is complicit in allowing CGers, there we go, to work and thrive at DC. Among other things, you can't say no to harassment while allowing people who are actively harassing creators to find work alongside you. Like he controlled the company.
What CGers are working at DC?
It was Blake Northcutt.
Oh, was he CG?
Blake is not, but she is one of those people, much like myself, that's willing to talk to anybody.
I see, but once again, why does she have an opinion on this? I mean, she is nobody. She has nothing to do with comic books. She's been on hiatus for 5 years, it would seem. She has no influence. Why does her opinion matter? Why is it here?
Because they love to do this guilt by association thing with, obviously Mitch. I'm not sure where he stands today, but he was CG. All those people that he employed aren't CG, but now are they guilty by association? It's the same with Nick Barucci.
Yeah, it's the Scarlet Letter.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you're getting too close to these people. Now you're becoming them, and it's ridiculous. It's stupid.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying she has no actual authority whatsoever. I have as much credential as she does in this industry.
They have given people like her power because they are so terrified of the outrage mob, of the cancel culture mob, that they are like, oh, we have to do something. We have to listen to these people. We have to placate these people because they command an army, which they really don't. But in their mind, they think they do.
Yeah, but I get your point. But the thing is, if they would just stand up and say, we don't care about your opinion. We're here to make great comics or something like that. It would be done. And there would be a huge bunch of people to be, yes, good job, DC.
But you got to remember that they have people that have infiltrated those positions, some of those positions of power. People like over at Marvel, like you've got like Sana Amanat. You've got people like that over there. You've got people that are giving them, like unfortunately, Joe Quesada. He empowers these people because because of that, they have influence.
So what you're saying, Bob, is we need a purge.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think we need to stop using social media because the freaking shit's poison and actually sit down and have a freaking conversation.
which we're doing here.
Well, okay, but it's like preaching to the choir, though, man. You know.
That was funny, though. The timing on that, Chester, was awesome. I want to take this. Alfred McKay, thank you so much for the super chat. A journey into a wondrous land of imagination. Next stop, the Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
I sometimes do feel like we are in the freaking Twilight Zone. This is absolutely crazy. What we're in.
I don't want to cancel anybody. I think I don't give a crap which direction cancel culture comes from. It's freaking evil. I want understanding. I want balance.
And there's room for everybody. If you want to have a voice and you want to write your specific comic books, then write them. Nobody, and I want to stress, nobody in Comics Geek for sure is saying you cannot have these books. Most of the pushback is just when you take something that we absolutely love, like Thor or a mainstay character, and then you bring your politics or your belief or your agenda into that book, that's when you get some backlash. But if you want to write books that specifically are those type of characters or whatever it is, nobody is saying you cannot do those. Go crowdfund those. Create a publishing company. Publish the books. No one cares. And based on your own merit, your ability and your talents, we'll see how far that takes you. Just like anybody else in the industry. So to yell foul because there aren't more people of marginalized backgrounds or females that are in the Batman office is absurd because it's merit-based. If there was a woman that came in and kicked Scott Snyder's ass as far as Batman ideas, I guarantee you, strike me down right now, that DC would hire you in a heartbeat. There is no conspiracy, Whisper Networks. There just isn't. If you could do the job and you could sell books, they would hire you.
Here's my perspective on this. If Marvel wants to take every single character that they own and make every single one of them transgendered, non-binary, whatever, I don't care. They own it. They can do whatever the hell they want with it. But we have the right to say, yeah, I'm not going to buy that. Right. And then at the same, so that's from the consumer standpoint. From a creator standpoint, you do not have the right to tell someone you don't have the right to tell someone they don't have the right to make a living in this friggin' industry. Like this crap with Jay Lee, it really pisses me off.
It pisses me off. Yeah. Jay Lee is a good guy. You guys need to back off. Whoever's going after that person, you are the lowest of the lowest.
Tom King.
Yeah.
Yeah, you cannot. Well, the people that are backing him too, that are coming out of the woodwork, you people are the lowest of the low. Well, he is exactly what you people say you want. This guy doesn't care about this group, or that group. All he wants to do is good comic books. That's all, and get paid for it. That's all. It's not anything deeper than that. And to be honest, that's all I ever was as well. But you can't be on the fence anymore. So I got into the game. And I knew that the best place was to be Comicsgate because there is a little bit of insulation. There's a little bit of strength there. If I tried to do any of this stuff on my own, holy shit, I would be selling my house right now. We'd be living in a freaking box. You know what I mean?
Here's the thing.
Destroyed me.
Getting into that, though, Tom King's the guy that started it, but Tom King has actually backed off of it. Guess who hasn't? Guess who is continuing to push this thing?
The Whisper.
Heather Antos.
Yeah, Heather.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, she's on that hard. And just so you know, Art, there's a gaggle of Japanese ladies standing around me watching your show. They think you're cute, just so you know.
Oh, my God.
I'm going to put a good word in for you, Joe.
So let's go ahead and get back into
this.
That's
awesome.
Okay, you want to go back to the...
the article here. So here we see Stephanie Cook attempting to stain Scott Snyder with a CG adjacent label, which has oddly become the equivalent of the Scarlet Letter, like I just said, like calling someone a Nazi lover. Lately, the act of labeling folks CGers and comics has become a very popular harassment tool, like an industry code word that translates to someone in a hate group. Does anyone ever hold her accountable for these defamatory accusations? Of course not. No one in the media held her accountable for the criminal accusations that Bill Willingham leveled against her, so a little harassment surely can't sully her reputation. Maybe they can get away with it because these harassment tactics seem to be working for the Whisper Network. There's no penalty for potentially being wrong about these negative labels being tossed about, as far as I've seen. They don't even have to prove it. I suppose they could accuse 100 people of being a CGer and they'll never have to answer for it. And since comic companies seem to have no bullying or harassment rules against attacking fans and fellow pros online, Marvel and DC staff can use these weapons against readers, peers, and contract workers without any risk. Have all the people in authority been effectively cowed? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, they have, with maybe a few exceptions at DC, but even they are tiptoeing around like eggshells. Last week, everyone saw Tom King weaponize a CG association against Asian illustrator and industry legend Jay Lee. One could argue that there were both defamation-like elements and racial elements to King's attack, but he will likely get away with it, as everyone always seems to. Yet, in spite of Tom's mea culpa, according to Lee, he and King are not all good, as Mr. King tried to claim to his followers. But I digress. I'm going to say something about this, and I might be in the wrong here. I don't think what King did was racially motivated. I think he was just being a dick.
I agree. I did think some people questioned the dog thing, but I think the dog thing was on purpose. I don't think that was a coincidence.
I think he was being a dick.
Yeah, I think
I think he was 100%. But I don't think
I agree with you.
Yeah, but I don't think it was racially motivated.
And do keep in mind, Heather Antos has moved on to the BLM stuff the past day or so.
Yeah. The secret group is discussing Snyder right now. This is where things get even more insidious. And this is the thing I was talking about. Another popular activity I've seen within the Whisper Network is the sharing of contents from personal emails, private phone calls, and texts from all the other members, potentially shaming someone in the industry and turning that person's colleagues against him. These are private messages being shared with 443 women who all work in the same industry. While there is the expected supportive feedback and encouragement, something else seems to be happening. See if you notice it. Following a Whispered Network's June 23rd to 25th, 2020, Twitter smear job against Snyder, Mags Visaggio seemingly tipped her hand on the Women's Network's secret Facebook page. Based on her history, it appears this could be setting the stage for future attacks. This is the thing that I was talking about that was insidious.
Now, before we get into this, is it okay, Art, if we assign some players to voice characters for this? Otherwise, it might get a little confusing.
Okay, well, if you want to assign, if you have voices in mind, go for it, man.
I'm gonna do Mags. I got.
Okay, so Bob, you've got Mags. Todd, can we count on you to portray Sarah Gaydos?
Please say yes, Todd.
Sure.
Okay,
Sure.
Awesome. And then
If not, I'll do Sarah as Todd.
No, I got it. Don't worry.
okay, and then I'm if it's okay with you guys, I will be the narrator because we have a few conversations, and so I'll kind of be directing the flow of the conversation.
All right.
Okay, so for everyone in the chat, we're going to start off with Miss Magdalene Francis speaking to Sarah Gaydos. So Magdalene, whenever you're ready.
Sarah Gaydos. Yeah, that's what I've been hearing. I'm just so on edge after the Sean Murphy thing. I don't want to get used. And I don't want to be a dude's emotional support wall when I signed up was for making a comic. I get enough of that from Snyder.
Yeah, you're their creative partner, not their mom or therapist. I mean, been there, but it sucks.
I feel like every time Scott calls, we spend 10 minutes talking comics and then 45 minutes of him going around in circles about how he doesn't want to be a bad person, but he doesn't know what to do about X and he thinks he should stay out of it, but he wants just Seymour. Just today, he was calling me about the Warren thing, and I'm like, dude, I know less than you do right now, and I have literally no advice. And I keep telling him I need to go because my phone was blowing up with day job stuff, and he kept going.
Yeah, I call bullshit on that.
Yeah.
And for the benefit,
your phone was blowing up with your TV show being canceled.
for the benefit of the chat, I believe that the quote unquote Warren thing that Mags is referring to is the Warren Ellis attempted cancellation.
Okay, so who's going to be Caesar?
You're up, narrator.
So I'd like to, yeah. So before we move on with the next part of our play, I'd like to point out that Scott Snyder possibly is and we're going to see this happen more than just this exchange between Sarah Gatos and Mags, that Scott appears to be concerned about some things in the industry and appears to be expressing his concerns to multiple women that are in this secret whisper network. So let's keep that in mind as the conversations continue.
Okay, who's going to do Cecil's voice?
Real quick here, the voice I was doing, I actually wasn't trying to like make fun of the whole trans thing. I was trying to channel what's his name from SNL.
Buffalo Bill, Silence of the Lambs. That's
no.
No, you sounded just like Brian. I've heard him talk before.
Was a great big fat person.
You're a big fat girl. No, I was just trying to be like, those people that you see that are all like, oh, mendicant, get away from me, you're dirty.
Well, it was funny.
Sorry. I just don't want anybody to be like, oh yeah, just like, oh shit, I didn't mean to do that. Okay.
So, Art, do you mind playing the part of Cecile Castellucci?
Oh, I was going to do Bucky Ring.
Oh, okay. Bucky Ringso, awesome. Chester, are you ready to tag back in, or do you want me to?
Sure.
Okay,
I'm
great.
fine.
So
well, we can get Zach to do.
Let Zach do Cecil.
Oh,
Cecil.
excellent. Well, we also are going to need an Amy Chu.
Oh, I can do Amy.
Okay.
Okay.
So, Zach, are you ready to handle Cecile's part?
I'm scared.
Let me pull it up.
It'll be Cecile speaking to Mags.
Mags Francis.
And then
Magdalena
Bucky will be
Francis.
replying to Cecile.
And he kicked himself out. You have to let him back in, Art.
Oh my gosh. He panicked under pressure. Where is the boy? There you are. Are you ready? Are you ready, Slacker?
No,
You're-
I pressed the wrong button when I was trying to bring up the article.
Man,
My bad. My bad.
Zach is living up to his name. If you just read the screen, you should be able to follow along. I'll go back.
No, I got it. I have it up.
Someone get to Cecile here. Come on.
All right, Cecile.
Cecile speaking to Mags.
This
All right,
is
so this is the part of the other bad behaviors that I think happens. Is that right?
So, yeah.
All right, Bucky.
Bucky.
Cecile,
Yep. Go
yeah,
ahead.
Cecile Castellucci literally came to say this. The things I read about Bemis were a lot of emotional dumping on a co-creator artist and some emotional manipulation, I think. It might have been in this group that I saw it. Let me dig. And then this is to Magdalena. Tagged you in the old threads, RE Max. I hope it helps. And so this is to Magdalena. Tagged you in the old threads.
That's a repeat.
Yeah.
Cecile.
Yep.
Sarah Gatos. I had to stop talking to Snyder after the Benghazi thing. He felt that everyone should just trust them to work things out behind the scenes.
Well, I think he's right.
And then
LOL, I heard that I've before. How's that been going for all of us?
Well, he did spearhead the effort to oust Von Skyver.
Ooh.
dun dun dun. And I'd like to point out to the chat that this is Mags saying to Amy Chu that Scott Snyder spearheaded the effort at DC to oust Ethan Van Sciver. Now, Ethan had been told by Rich Johnston that it was Sam Humphries who led the effort. So there's conflicting reports here, but what is definite is that it's writers that appeared to have been working together, at least Sam and Scott, possibly more. And then they went around and got other writers, according to Ethan, to agree to not work with Ethan ever again, which is what prompted editorial to contact Ethan and say, hey, what's going on with all these writers refusing to work with you? And that was his first real concrete moment of, oh no, what's happening? My job's being threatened.
Welcome to cancel culture. Yep.
Yup.
Now I'll take the part of Casey Gilly, who chimed in, not talking to anyone, or I guess talking to everyone. While I wasn't offended by it, Scott had similar behavior with me during Witches. I was quote unquote interviewing him every single issue at his request. But really, those conversations were 5 to 10 minutes of business, and then between 20 to 90 minutes of me providing free, unlicensed therapy. I kept encouraging him to talk to a professional, which he absolutely has the means to do. Luckily, the book went on hiatus, and I got hours of my life back, as he never really saw fit to speak to me again.
Oh my
There's
gosh.
things that never happened, Alex.
Yeah, Scott's gonna Scott. It is incredibly frustrating, especially his tendency to steamroll and talk over you. It's so hard to get a word in.
Wow.
Okay, who's doing the narration? Remember?
Okay, I'll do it. Remember the very first tweet I shared with you at the beginning of this article where Amy Chu was mocking the Twitter user who claimed that the Whisper Network was run by Gail Simone and Alex DeCampi. Did you notice the little badge next to her name in the secret Facebook thread above? Do you know what that little badge means? See the chart below. The reason why Amy Chu knows, Amy Chu was able to say who doesn't run the Whisper Network is because Amy Chu is one of the admins who runs their secret Facebook group, along with others like the editor-in-chief of Oni Press. So basically, when you have that badge next to you, you're an admin, you're a moderator, rising star. Basically, you have all the control. So you are part of.
Sorry, Bob. I thought you were done. I was just going to interject before you moved on that editor-in-chief at Oni is Sarah Gatos, who appeared earlier in our dramatic reading.
Yes. But men hate all women and don't want to put them in any place of power.
Especially not editor-in-chief of a comic book publisher.
Right. We don't want that. Isn't a woman in charge of Valiant?
Yep.
Oh, but only as a senior editor art, not anyone of any real authority or influence or power.
Yeah, and she screwed it up.
And she's using her power to
cancel people.
Power to cancel people. Yeah.
Yeah. Instead of like making good comics and bringing in like the best talent she possibly can, she's spending time on Twitter basically trying to destroy Jay Lee's life.
Yeah.
Has the stage been set for Snyder? In theory, if someone like Tess Fowler, Alex DeCampi, Stephanie Cook, Mags Visaggio, or Heather Antos were to make a public accusation against Scott Snyder, which they might not, especially after this article drops, but let's say in a hypothetical scenario that they decide to, those previous public comments have laid a foundation that many of them have contributed to. All the following statements could be made and receipts could be provided. As we've seen in the past, they don't have to provide any evidence. Well, Scott did wait way too long to denounce Comicsgate. Well, Scott did say he wanted to be competitive and take down fellow creators in January, which is toxic masculinity at its worst. Scott did say he wouldn't manipulate or harass women in June, but we don't believe him and demonstrate how he doesn't care about harassment. He's been accused of helping CGers. That's secret code for Nazis. Scott whines a lot on the phone, and he's married after all. He wants attention of women and is emotionally dumping, and that's just a step away from grooming behavior. There you go. There it is again. Especially since he's a cis white male in a position of power. And that's it. Position of power.
Wow.
All the proof a Twitter takedown requires can be found right there in the digital paper trail above that I believe shows a pattern of problematic behavior. And if a Twitter trial started, I don't think Scott Snyder would have a leg to stand on unless he's truly willing to fight back. And by all indications, he is not. Lost income and opportunities. For the Whisper Network to accuse anyone of bullying and harassment could be likened to a case of the pot calling the kettle black. I've only scratched the surface, and by digging into the recent past, I found that there's even more that I need to explore. This rabbit hole goes deep. What looks like collusion from 2018 and earlier is going to be focused on in the Whisper Network Part 3, but I think maybe a good time to share a few screenshots that I've collected while exploring the Whisper Network secret group. Does this look like cat photos and girl talk, or does it look like a lot of complaints of harassment against the Diversity in Comics YouTube channel? And because these women might feel they've been harassed, they discuss the man's Patreon page and the topic of removing a potential source of income for him. Is there any evidence that Meyer ever spoke about these particular women? Do these screenshots demonstrate a private coordinated cyber attack, something referred to as brigading? This is from Serpentini Howard.
Yeah, this is Teeny Howard.
Yep.
Another one of the illustrious members of the Women in Comics Whisper Network. And to those in the chat, where we're going to go now is watching them talking about how to take down your boy Zach. This was back in 2017. Mm-hmm. And we're going to see them coordinating to try and bring his Patreon account to its knees.
I'm trying to file a report with Patreon about diversity in comics, and they need the timestamp of the harassment violation from this dude's hundreds of videos. Just another fun reminder of the ways we're forced to dig back through and relive our own harassment. Because, of course, I do not have time to do this, so I don't get to file the report. Awesome. I hope he buys himself a burrito with his $800 and that gives him effing food poisoning.
Whoa.
Casey Gill, I hope it's a big old salmonella surprise with extra D's. Serpentini Howard,
Bob, you're bigfooting the script. We have to.
I'm trying to help. I'm trying to help Art keep from getting getting his channel struck.
I swear.
Yeah, that's my
things
job.
That I put up with. Prima donna.
All right.
My production.
No. Hey, go.
My production, Bob.
Go ahead.
Who's the voice of Casey? Who is that one?
That was me.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So, Bob, you've got Teeny Howard, right?
No. This is all you now, man.
You're going to do all the voices? You don't have a voice for Crystal yet.
Finally. How about Zach does Crystal's voice?
I'll do Crystal because I didn't get to do anything. I got to say yep. I was pissed off. I was like, I was about to say yep, and everybody's like yep, and I was like,
this is my moment, man.
fucking moment.
Todd, are you able to take Casey Gilly?
Yes.
Great. So, Bob, you finished with food poisoning, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
I hope it's big of salmonella surprise with extra dicks in it.
Land of Goshen. I've always relied on the kindness of strangers.
Damn it, Zach, it's you.
Who's Serpentini?
I'm Crystal.
It's Teeny Howard. You're up.
Who is Serpentini?
I guess I am.
Yeah.
F it. It actually wasn't hard to find 3 videos where he targets people by name and instantly begins ranting, so I submitted it. And she had 8 replies to that.
Crystal Frazier.
I hate how the system is always built to support the abuser. Deal with this in private. You have to provide more proof. Well, we can't discipline him because that'll make the company look bad. So much sympathy. Would you like anyone else to go?
Seymour.
This Seymour gets a lot of traction.
Get to finish it.
Yeah.
Who's going to read Seymour? I'll be Seymour.
Serpenti up.
So honestly,
You're up, Teeny Howard.
No, that's Serpenti.
Serpenti.
Yeah, Serpenti Howard.
Yeah, that's you, Bob. God damn it.
Serpentini Howard, that's you.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, honestly, I submitted my report, but more reports cannot hurt. I found the report filling page by Googling Patreon's report account.
This is so fragmented the way we read this.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know what's going on anymore.
So 2 days later, I saw Danny Coleman follow up this topic. She seemed to suggest mass reporting Richard Meyer for copyright infringement with the hopes that it would shut down his account faster, thereby cutting off his income.
Okay, I'll do Danny Coleman.
Right.
My 2 cents on the Richard Meyer thing. Try reporting his Patreon for copyright infringement. It might get him shut down. Fuck you, Danny. I'm sorry. I kind of put myself in there. Down a lot. Faster than reporting him for hate speech or defamation. Thank you. Which is always a subject to the always flawed community standards of a platform. Just a thought. Oh, that's a nice hateful thought there.
Yeah. And then Asher Powell's like, we're on that. Yeah. So
We're
basically, that's clear collusion to abuse the
System.
reporting system for YouTube.
Well,
Can you go back up real quick, Art?
Oh, let me just ask: there has to be laws broken here, right? I mean, you can't do stuff like this.
I don't know so much laws, but there are community guidelines that are being broken with this.
Okay.
For
So
both, for Twitter and for YouTube.
Can you go back up, please, Art? Okay.
To what?
No. You come back down. You're fine. Come back down. Right. Okay. Stop. Okay. I found this very interesting. I hate how the system is always built to support the abuser. Deal with this in private. You have to provide more proof. Well, we can't discipline him because that will make the company look bad. We can't discipline him. Look at the entitlement on this person.
Yeah. I almost said that while Zach was reading, but I didn't want to get in his way. But I'm glad you brought that up, Chester. Yeah. The entitlement here, Crystal. I'm sorry, you're kind of a piece of poo-poo here.
So it's not enough for her that there is a way to make her complaints known. It's not enough for her that there is a way to have action taken.
She wants immediate action and she wants control of the situation.
She wants immediate gratification. She wants it done her way right away.
And she wants wrong think to be disciplined.
Yeah.
It's this standard kind of Marxist concept we got going on here.
And she's trying to take money out of Zach's pocket.
The last thing at the bottom here, though, that's a big deal right there.
Which
that like one of the things that I've talked about is actionable. Have they done anything actionable? This might actually be actionable.
Okay, so do you want me to move forward, or do you want to keep going from another Whisper Network coincidence?
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Another Whisper Network. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, Art, before we move on, that if we go to what Danny Coleman said just below, and she says, try reporting his Patreon for copyright infringement, and then talks about it might get him shut down a lot faster than reporting him for hate speech or defamation, which is always subject to the always flawed, quote unquote, community standards of a platform. So here is a very clear example. As we were talking before with Miss Crystal not being satisfied that there is a system in place to handle stuff like that if she wants to make complaints. Here we have Danny acknowledging there is a system in place for registering complaints, but it's not up to her standards. So she's going to try and report his Patreon falsely, by the way, for copyright infringement to get him shut down even faster. And then you have this person named Asher Powell saying, we're on that, winky face. So again, this speaks to conspiracy.
Yeah.
Speaks to coordinated planning and action.
Yeah, and also that the laws don't apply to them. Like they have complete contempt for laws that do exist. So they're going to circumvent them for their own gain.
Yeah, see, like I said, this isn't like I don't think this is illegal, but it's definitely breaking the rules of the platforms that they're talking about.
Abusing them at the
abusing the copyright strike system in YouTube and whatnot. But the thing at the bottom here, this is one of the things, like I said, like one of the complaints I've had about this is like, it shows a lot of people being dicks, but is there anything truly actionable? This might be something actionable. So another Whisper Network coincidence. On May 9th, 2018, Antarctic Press proudly announced they were publishing Meyer's Jawbreakers graphic novel. At the time, Jawbreakers was one of the most successful Indiegogo campaigns in history, having earned over $400,000 from more than 10,000 backers on the crowdfunding platform. But only a few months earlier, inside the Whisper Network, Mags Visaggio seemingly implied that Mark Waid himself had recruited her to do a little legwork for him and cover some potential evidence for him. Whatever for. Back in the secret Facebook group, Mags was asking her comments to help with the cause.
Oh my God.
I need a favor. Can someone scan Maya's account looking for his shit post about me so I can forward them to Wade? I'm super not reliving that. And somebody else can do the other crap.
Okay, so this is how she also gets out of her own homework. I'm not reliving. I get
yes,
so painful.
exactly.
It's so painful. Can you guys help? It's so hurtful. I can't go through it again.
Yeah. So then the response was, you mean the Facebook account's pretty much locked down, and then
sorry, Bob, I gotta butt in one more time on you. Sorry about that. I just want to point out that person who's replying to Mags is Jody Hauser, who's a little more high profile than most of the people that have been featured so far, and she's a writer, she's a writer, and she is one of the account admins. So we know that by the badge with the star. So we know we've got Gail Simone, Jody Hauser, Amy Chu. In Article 1, there were a couple of others, like Margaret Scott. I'm not sure how she pronounces her name. And there was at least one more. So there are at least 5 admins that have been revealed in these 2 articles. And at least 3 of them are well known within the industry, even if not everybody knows who Margaret Scott is or Amy Chu. Outside of the industry, they may not be well known, but inside the industry, these women are known within the convention circuit, certainly, and some of them are known at the big 2, and then a couple of the other smaller publishers that are still in the top 8 or top 10.
I can give us a heads up on what we're going to, in response, we're going to get to this, because what they're going to say, what's the problem with us getting together and colluding? Men collude against us every day. That's coming.
Yeah. Well, no, and here's the thing. A lot of people, that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm talking about actionable things.
Yeah.
A lot of people have private Facebook groups. A lot of people have, these private forums and stuff like that. The thing that we're talking about here is that that with this one, it seems that there is a clear collusion to go out to wreck people's lives. Okay. Now,
absolutely.
The question is there any of this actionable? Now, with what that last thing said with Mags here, that means that they were actively looking to take Rich to destroy. That that this network was part of Wade's plan to tortiously interfere with Zach, which means if they actually helped him do this, does that mean that they are culpable in that? That's the question.
Yeah,
because one of the things I was saying is like I said, we've seen a lot of people just being assholes, but is there anything actionable? And that's the thing that I'm interested in here. This might be something actionable.
Well, we know the actionable aspect came from Mark Wade's canceling of Antarctic's printing of the book, and that is very actionable. And of course, there's an ongoing lawsuit. I think in general, what they're doing by using the system against them, which of course the copyright laws used by YouTube and all those other things, these are companies that know that you do not have the money to go out and fight these companies. Therefore, they're taking advantage of the situation because these so-called copyright strikes are nonsense. When it comes right down to it, you have full right to take something and make it your own. This, of course, is acceptable.
Fair use.
But they know you're not going to be able to fight it, so they just hammer you on it. And this is the type of thing they're trying to take advantage of. Now, I don't know that that's actually illegal. What Mark Wade did is completely illegal.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would think that
but if it leads, but if it leads to a demonetization or financially getting in the way of somebody earning a living, then I would think laws would be broken, right?
That's what I was going to mention, Art, is I would think that the Patreon, the conspiracy to take down his Patreon account could qualify. I don't know the details of the law on that, but my thinking was the same as yours, Art. If he's using that account for bringing in income and they're conspiring to take down his revenue stream simply because they don't like stuff that he is saying, that seems to me like it's actionable. But at the same time, it also seems to me like he'd have to file a separate lawsuit which would be all of that time and money. And he's already, up to his chin in lawsuit as it is.
Yeah.
So,
I would intimate though that free speech is a double-edged sword.
Mhm.
You know,
well, and that's always been one of the issues with like groups like Patreon or YouTube or whatnot. They kind of have this. They kind of have this blanket immunity to actually being held accountable for these kind of things. Like one of the reasons why I honestly, and this has been proven multiple times, one of the reasons why YouTube's copyright strike and their user rules are so vague is so that they can do whatever they want. And we know that, we know which way they lean on this thing. Like, look what happened with Patreon with what's his name? A lot of people get their Patreon taken away, and Patreon's basically is like, well, we own this platform. We could do whatever we want.
Yeah, it's private. It's not. It's
right.
That's under legal scrutiny too.
Well, yeah, especially after the Facebook thing that just
public
happened.
Are these platforms actually? They like to hide behind, and they say this is private. This is a business, so we have our own guidelines. But at the same time, they're in a public forum, which is the internet. So there's going to be some laws fought. I know PragerU is one of the big ones that are fighting these ideas right now.
Well,
go ahead.
That's after a court hearing that decided that free speech is only applicable in the public sphere, which of course is absolute nonsense. The whole point of free speech itself is to be applicable everywhere, and it's complete nonsense.
Yeah, and one of the things that Twitter has used to kind of skirt around this is they're saying that, well, we're an international company, so we're not subject to U.S. law when it comes to free speech. And it's like, well, no, you are, because you operate in this country and your platform is so powerful that it affects everything.
Well, there's also the internet aspect of it that you can't, because they're using a public for a forum to do this stuff. So maybe in other countries you're right, but definitely in this country, they would have to follow those rules. But that's why this is going to be fought. I'm hoping that we can get some kind of resolution to some of these things soon, because my fear is the longer these go, we're going to, basically acclimate like kids. We're going to bring like a generation in that's going to be used to working based on these rules, and people like us that remember freedom are going to be dead and gone. And then before you know it, there's going to be absolutely no freedom of speech, and that all these different YouTube, corporations and Facebook and all these other, they're just going to be able to dictate what gets on and what doesn't. Yeah. And they're already doing that by just fucking with the algorithms. We saw that during, the Hillary, the presidential election with Hillary and Donald Trump. When we typed in Hillary's crimes in Google, it was so low down in the search. It was practically buried. So all the propaganda stuff was like right up at the top, and all the other stuff was buried. So they're already doing hanky-panky.
Well, and they're doing more and more. And do keep in mind, this sheds a little bit of light on why Barack Obama decided toward the end of his term to go ahead and give the internet to the Europeans. Yeah, keep that in mind. A lot of people seem to have missed that. Of course, the American military made the internet, and Barack Obama gave it away. Just keep that in mind.
And also, wasn't there like he signed in like propaganda laws that you could like the government could use propaganda, or there was some kind of propaganda law that he put in as well, which meant that that the government or these companies could use propaganda openly. I forget what the hell that was about, but we're going off on a tangent like we usually do on Pontificators. So let's get back. Does anybody have any idea how long this article goes? Because I did not peruse it before.
This is pretty much the end of the majority of it. Everything on the next page is basically kind of set up for the next one.
Okay. Well, let's finish up this, and then we'll set up for the Whisper Network part 3.
Well, we already went over that. We already talked about this.
Yeah, we're done. This article is done.
Oh, it is done. Oh, okay. And so then,
Page 2 is
suggestions of like, and like if you're a comic book company, you need to protect yourself with this and this and this, that kind of thing. It's like, beware because this is coming.
okay.
advice to editors, creators, fans, and then giving some pretty serious questions about what all has been presented so far and what to do about it.
Yeah, one of the things they talk about is like, is it time for a list of the people who've been victimized? Is basically it's like, how are we going to fight back from this?
This is part of the pontificators thing. You guys want to get into possibly where we can go from here?
I have 12 minutes, by the way.
Well, then you start talking, my friend.
Oh, okay. All right. Word to the wise. There's more coming, but I think the following is very important. If you're an editor or company owner, beware. Watch who you give access to your personal finances and your private data too. Be prepared for anonymous tips to come flooding in or hot news from questionable sources, much like Tom King's recent attack on Jay Lee and many before his. Most will have no evidence and can appear suddenly. If you are a creator in the comic book industry, beware. If you have a prominent position, the mob is likely coming for you. If you're male, let's specifically get on that. Depending on your identity group, you could have no voice in the media, and no one will stand up for you, no matter how ridiculous the allegations. We know that's true. Watch who you interact with. Watch your wallet. Watch your emails and texts. If you are a fan, be vigilant. You can help. I'm not much different from you, just an outsider looking in, and I once felt helpless too. But we can do as much as fans. Don't just take my words for it. Look around for yourself and see evidence for this in plain sight, a la Pontificators and all the other channels around here.
Yeah.
Look into those rumors. Look at the accusers. When you hear accusations with little or no evidence, look at this, the hate spreading all day long, and pay attention to who is starting it. It is one of the Westburn networks. Is it one of the Westburn networks or one of their allies on Twitter? Someone they interact with all the time. Tracing the hate back to the source is very easy, and you will see the same handful of people initiating it almost every time. Is there a corrupt journalist who you see using unverified rumors on rando tweets as their source every day? Look a bit closer. Who is this journalist's friends with online? Who do they likely speak with behind the scenes to set up these hit pieces? Again, in the same handful of people, and their close comrades keep popping up time after time.
Well, when Rich
Rich
Johnson did that hit piece on me when I was talking about being fired from Marvel, I asked him, like, who your sources, because he said he had sources that basically knew the news against me, and he couldn't provide it and said he wouldn't. So they definitely are hiding behind these sources. And I happen to know for a fact, if anybody goes back and watches that video, I happen to know for a fact there are none, because the only way there were only 3 people that knew the information, and there's no way that Rich Johnson had access to those guys. So I know that they do make up these sources. Mm-hmm. They're imaginary. So I do know that for a fact. So go ahead.
Todd's back. Todd's back if you want to add him, Art.
Okay.
If you're still unconvinced, I want you to do the following. Try this experiment. Imagine everyone mentioned in this piece and then swap their genders. Mm-hmm. How would the comic book media react? Would they be turning a blind eye or writing hundreds of articles about a man being accused of embezzling thousands of dollars from a woman creator after she accused him in public? Statements given to the media. Would the mainstream get involved then? Would you see Polygon, CBR, The Beat, ICV2, and many other major outlets chime in? Of course you would. 2, will Marvel, Image, DC, and any other companies finally make some common sense online bullying policies, brigading and lobbying false accusations will only increase if companies don't step in and make rules for their contractors about harassing, bullying, and publicly accusing coworkers in the comic book industry. And against hiring social terrorists who perpetuate the cycle of hate. Wow, damn girl.
Yeah.
Most of these tweet storms could have been handled privately. But people like Tom King seem to be going from woke points of or virtue signaling to WN, whatever that means. White knighting, sorry. Not sure what motivated his John J. Lee attack over the weekend, but it was out of bounds. Will these same players continue to grant exclusives and interviews to news outlets in comics that help perpetuate harassment and employment, so-called journalists who are linked or provide cover to the Whisper Network? 3. Is it time for a list? Should someone start a group for the folks who have been victimized? Everyone who has had rumors and lies spread about them. Everyone who has had money embezzled. Everyone who has been blackmailed. Everyone who has been trashed by a corrupt journalist. Everyone who has been bullied, harassed, or had their lives threatened. Should these victims create a group so the world can see what kind of damage has been done and continues to be done by social terrorists in the comic industry? She is pissed, dude. Maybe the transparency we keep hearing about in the comic biz should be a standard for everyone to follow, not just folks outside of the privileged private Whisper Network, because the world truly be equality. Be right back. Lots more to come.
Wow, damn, that was good, man. And thank you so much to Chris Brawley and Penny, Joe, what's her last name?
Parker,
for being brave and stepping forward and at least giving some kind of pushback. That's all I want right now is just some kind of pushback to get some kind of equilibrium and to get another voice out there. People can make up their own minds. They can pick their own sides. But I think that some of this information has to come from the other direction because it seems to just be coming from the one direction. And most of the time, they're just absolutely making stuff up without facts, without even checking into things. And also, if you want to know where they're coming from, usually when like Bleeding Cool and these other, outlets write their reports, they usually never interview the people that are being attacked. Like if it's Comicsgate, you very rarely see them go, oh, well, let's see what RT Barrett has to say about Comicsgate or anything like that. You know what I mean? They always just like make that part up, but they always go to the person, within the Whisper networks or whatever, and they interview them.
Yeah, that's how they maintain their position, man. Because if they actually talk to somebody that's prepared for them, they get ripped apart.
Yeah, it would be point counterpoint, and then we could actually have a fair
discussion.
Yeah, but they don't want that. I mean, clearly, if you ever needed a fact, there's one right there. Is that they just don't even conduct themselves in any kind of fair way. At all. I mean, it really is just coming from one side and one direction. Like the thing is, go ahead, Chester.
Well, no, I'm just saying it's quite obvious that they want to insinuate themselves into the industry in a stronger way. They want to help each other get jobs. They want to make sure that they're the ones that are getting paid. They're the ones in control of the narrative, and they're the ones that are whose voices are being heard. This is the intention of their Whisper Network, and it's very, very clear.
Yeah, they want to be treated like superstars, even though they haven't earned that right.
Or they haven't earned it, yeah. Because most of the voices we're hearing, because they keep saying Gail Simone is in charge, and she certainly makes a bunch of noise. But then again, I didn't see anything from Gail in there whatsoever, right? And we do keep in mind that Gail Simone is a rather talented lady, although she's had her bumps, but she is talented. But all the ones we were hearing from, for the most part, were people who have no leg to stand on whatsoever. Especially the decampulating,
right?
And Hantos.
Yeah, there is speculation that Gail Simone will play her card with the dynamite thing. So she's like pulling away, saying like she's not going to work for them anymore. But the speculation is that as soon as Dynamite starts like moving in the direction that they want, then she'll come back, and then she'll basically reward Nick and Dynamite with her presence again and say, I would be, privileged to come work for you again
on a book that'll fail after 10 issues.
Yeah, now that you've cleaned house and denounced, Comicsgate or whatever the heck she, deems worthy of her presence. I think this is crazy, and I never had a problem with Gail. I worked with her in the past. The thing where I started realizing that she wasn't on the up and up is when that New 52 Batgirl stuff was happening. And I was reading that when it was coming out, and it was bad. It was really bad. I mean, Barbara Gordon was victimized every 5 minutes on the cover. She was beating the shit out of her. There'd be blood and everything. It's like this. She turned this character into just like a victim, and she's just constantly getting her ass handed to her. She's not very heroic, and then the book gets canceled. And so then she starts trumping up like, oh, well, it's because of X, Y, Z. And then they hire her back, and then they just cancel the book later. But she yelled foul and got her job back. There's no guy that could ever do that, man.
Well, especially that when she was fired, it was, I mean, the editor. Okay, sorry, I'm going to back up. There's so much going on with her. I need to just focus on that one thing.
No.
Essentially, what happened with Batgirl, from the people who were there, they've said that her editor was trying to get a hold of her to talk to her about it. And she refused to answer his calls, refused to answer his emails. And this went on for a long time until finally there was no choice but just to say, I'm sorry, Gail, you're off the book. And completely ghosted the guy, just like she had ghosted Nick Barucci when he tried contacting her multiple times. And she said herself via Twitter that he tried contacting her multiple times, and she chose not to take his calls until finally, after a number of days, she did take a call or an email. I'm not clear what it was, and allowed him to try to speak to her. And so anyway, with this editor unable to get a hold of her, and there were so many problems with the book that she got taken off of it. And then she went to her fan group, which she lovingly refers to as Gail Cada, and sent them after the editor because she gave his name. And I believe did she also publish his contact info? I don't remember.
I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. But yeah, she sent her loving fan group after him. And then the higher ups at DC went to the editor and I'm not going to give the poor guy's name out. Went to him and said, "We're getting too much bad PR. Gail's causing too much trouble. You're going to have to go to her and hire her back." And so then they actually made him call her up. And wouldn't you know, on that attempt to contact her, she picked right up. And he had to apologize to her and then bring her back on the book. Is it any wonder that some of this behavior that we've seen evidence of in these whisper networks, is it any wonder that it is not only happening, but tolerated and in some cases encouraged?
Yeah, when like we were saying, it should be merit-based. Well, the book wasn't selling. A lot of people weren't happy with it. There was every reason to ask her to leave. All of us in this industry have been asked to leave at one point or another, sometimes for bullshit reasons, sometimes for real reasons. But you know what you do is you just move on. You go get another job. You have your merit, you have your integrity, you go get another job. And for a lot of us that never played that game, that's exactly what we did. And we never had a problem, following it up, because our reputation, even though that one moment in time seemed like it was bad, our reputation and our body of work spoke for itself. And then another editor would give us the benefit of the doubt. And then we would move forward on that again. But you take it off? Right. See ya. But that isn't enough. Like, for somebody like her, that her ego couldn't deal with the fact that somebody just didn't like her writing and that the book wasn't selling that well. So then she had to recreate the narrative that somehow something unfair was happening to get her hired back. And holy crap, man. And then they eventually canceled it anyway. Like, I don't know if that was DC's eventually, like they were just going to placate the SJWs and the people that wanted her or said that they wanted her back. And they were just going to go a certain timeline. And then instead of firing her, they just cancel the entire book. Yeah. You know what I mean? And then start from scratch.
She sucked at another 16 issues out of them.
Yeah, got another year of employment out of it. So, yeah. So, yeah. I don't know.
Art, I do need to jump, dude.
Hey, you know what, Chester? We really appreciate your presence. We do miss you on the show. We're going to try to work out a time where we can get you, on where it's more comfortable and not 5 o'clock in the morning.
Right. Yeah. Well, anyway, thank you all, guys. This is a very interesting conversation, and looking forward to seeing part 3 of the Whisper Network and seeing where it's going. And yeah, thank you guys. I'll talk to you all later. Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
I actually got to bounce here in a little bit too, but I just wanted to sum up my thoughts on this thing.
Go for it.
I don't believe you can have too many voices in comics. Okay. I honestly don't believe that. And I believe that everybody should have the right to pursue their career in this and do the stories and things that they want to do. The problem I have with all of this is the insidiousness of trying to take people's livelihoods away. Okay, I have like cancel culture is poison. That's it. There's no argument here. Cancel culture is poison. Social media is junk food for your freaking mind, and it is the main tool of cancel culture. So this crap that they're doing it's 100% motivated by their own by greed and by a desire for power.
And I think they know on some level that they can't compete in a fair.
No, they can't. Look at their books. Their books constantly get canceled. Their projects are constantly banned. They can barely break sales, with the exception of maybe Gail, because she's still trading on her name. Yeah. But can anybody name a book that she's done in the last 10 years that was like a true success?
Yeah.
It's because she decided, hey, I don't have to write anymore. I don't have to work anymore. I just trade on my name. And if anybody calls me out on anything, guess what?
Foul.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the patriarchy. It's XYZ. It's the Nazis. It's villain of the day. Yeah. I mean, they created a narrative for themselves that basically absolves them of all wrongdoings or even bad stories,
Yeah, and if that's what you want to do, more power to it. You have the right to do that. You don't have the right to destroy someone else's life because they said or did something that you didn't like, or they worked with somebody that you don't like.
Yeah, I'm going to say something, and it's going to be very, very sexist, but I believe it with all my heart. A man wouldn't do that. A man wouldn't do that to anybody because
we're seeing some men that do though. Tom
Cruise
did it.
Are guys that are getting, what do they call that? They're getting coerced into it, and I think they're being pressured to act like women. Like Adam Carolla says, in 50 years we'll all be chicks. So I think you're seeing more of that behavior, but more of like a traditional guy, like guys that we know would never do this because they know that there's a lot relying on it. That most of the time, like in this family, I'm the sole breadwinner. So if something was to happen to me, then the whole trickle down would happen. And so my entire family would suffer for it. So I don't think, and you might be right, but I think there is a new breed of men, if I can call them that, but more of a guy, traditional male, I don't know what else to call it, wouldn't do that to another guy. I've never seen that kind of behavior. Because it's like when we were kids, it'd be like hitting below the belt. Remember, there was like a code of ethics that guys had, even when you fought other guys, you never kicked another guy in the balls. You know what I mean? Like as many fights as I've been in as a kid, There was just a code of ethics, because you could win the fight if you kick the guy in the balls, or you could punch him in the nuts, but you never went that. You could punch him in the head, you can poke him in the nose, you can punch him in the stomach, but you never ever hit below the belt. And there was just kind of an unspoken way.
Don't be a bitch.
Yeah, don't be a bitch. But now, I mean, you might be right, Bob. There are guys that are hitting below the belt, but these are not guys that, and I'm just gonna say, I don't have a lot of respect for, because traditionally speaking, there's a lot riding on this. There's a lot more than just somebody's ego or to get a job out from under them. Let's compete fairly. Let's compete based on merit, and let the best person win. Male, female, transgender, marginalized. I don't give a shit, man. I really don't. But like you said, Bob, when it comes to canceling somebody, that's where I draw the line.
Cancel culture is the poison. That's what this really comes down to.
Yeah. When you go after somebody's livelihood, it's bullshit. And I don't really see them going after women's livelihood. I see it more going after men. I don't know. Do you guys have a case where one of these whisper networks went after a woman and tried
to Northcutt? Oh,
that's true. Yeah. Are they trying to get her?
It's a pretty extreme case, though. You've got to really, really do something to really get on their bad side for them to
comic skaters. Maybe.
Oh, that's just the thing, is that Blake Northcutt has the stank on her because she's nice to people on social media, regardless of who they might associate with or not associate with, and regardless of whether or not they're considered part of the in crowd.
Is Bob? Are you taking off?
No. Well, yeah, I was waving too. But
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I do got to take off, guys.
Are you gonna take off now?
Later. Yeah, I gotta go.
All right, man. Thank you so much for hanging out. Appreciate it.
Have a good one.
Yep.
Bye, Bob.
Bob.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Joe. I thought that's what Bob was trying to bop out.
Yeah, no worries. No worries. I was just going to say that, with Blake, she has an excellent rapport with her customers, with potential customers, and with her peers. And so because of that, personally, I think that they hate her because she's a shining example of what a comics pro can and should be on social media. But then there's also the fact that she's got a lot of those gators who buy her books. And she also is working with Sean Murphy, who they had targeted for destruction, tried to bring him down a couple of times now in the last few years, and so far have been unable to do it. But I would certainly not bet money on them giving up. I'm positive that they're simply gearing up for another attempt.
Catwoman, her Catwoman is going into second printing.
Yep.
I don't know what it is about them, like this weird sect of women that hate traditional beauty. Just so weird to me, because Blake is very traditionally beautiful, very attractive. So I don't understand the whole, it's a weird thing to me, because obviously the media and advertising has always kind of told you what traditional beauty was, and not that it hasn't gone off the rails. I remember the Calvin Klein era was kind of the heroin kind of look,
Oh yeah, heroin.
Yeah, but
the reason you don't understand, Todd, is because you're a normal person. Like, that's why you don't understand this, because I find myself saying similar shit. Like, I don't understand. And then you have to realize, well, the reason I don't understand is because I'm a normal person. Like, it takes a weirdo to think like this.
Yeah, I don't get it, because it's kind of been what's been going on in comics. All these traditional women being made to look untraditional. Now, if you were to ask an artist, say 10 years ago, why is the woman bigger breasted than, why is Wonder Woman bigger breasted than Donna Troy? Because she denotes a woman, and Donna Troy denotes a teenager. So it was like a cue, like a way of showing full-grown woman, full-grown teen. It wasn't shrink all the breasts to make them all look the same and make them younger. To me, it was almost
story and character.
Yeah, it was almost eerie that they went after the cup size of female characters.
Well, the thing is, when I've had women say that to me, and I think they're well intentioned, and they go, "You sexualize women in your comics," and blah blah blah. I go, "We sexualize men in our comics too. Like these guys are basically nude with a cape on and shorts. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
like there are, you know, my friend did with Scott Liddell. Mark Basilla did the Alpha Flight issue where North Star comes out of the closet, and that guy got hit by every gay publishing company and every gay organization, and we're heralding Mark as, you know, like a hero, you know, and to Mark it's weird because Mark is a guy's guy, man, and you know, all of a sudden he's the poster child. I want to get him on the show so bad. He's a poster child for like homosexuality or whatever, and they're praising him for being brave. But he's like, in all the interviews and stuff, he was just very matter of fact. It's like, I don't speak out one way or the other. It was a paycheck. Marvel asked me to do a job, and I drew it to the best of my ability. That's as far as it begins and ends. But what happened was my eyes were opened that there is a big homosexual audience that buys comic books because there's idealized men in comic books. So there is a sexual component if you want to go that direction, male or female. You know what I mean? It just depends on if you want to be fair or not with your narrative, which apparently they forget, like there's these big muscular guys that are perfect physiques. Why do you think those Marvel movies have each one of those actors take off their shirt? Every one of those guys, even Robert Downey Jr. has a scene in a Marvel movie without his shirt on. Like, don't give me that shit, man. Like, we sexualize men, women, whatever. Comics is pretty equal opportunity. Let me get this the super sticker. Thank you so much. I do appreciate that. You guys are awesome. But go ahead, Todd. I kind of derailed you, but I was trying to add to what you were saying.
Oh no, I was just you know, talking a little bit about Blake and success she's had, and Nora's Song is a book that she co-created with Kelsey Shannon. Very original idea, by the way. She had another one, something about it wasn't Mississippi, but it had something to do with water or something, aquamarine, something or other. But it, you know, it's not like she doesn't have the skills. I knew back when last year's SDCC was going on that they were starting to talk to her. DC was sort of a group, like, you know, we want to have meetings with you and see if we can get you over here at DC. That was back last year at the convention. So she, you know, she's made her own way. I mean, no bones about it. Nobody helped her. No, you know, she's gotten along on her talent, crowdfunded some successful books, and just doesn't seem to be cut of the same mold. So they go after her, and that's kind of weird, because you would think the one thing you don't want to do is throw shade on another woman, another creator. But it's like we said one time, we said that they're going to claw and fight and scratch for the jobs no matter who's in the way. And with men, they tear them down, right? When it comes to men above them, they tear them down. When it comes to women alongside them, they get really weird and catty. And, you know, almost, you know, I don't want to say they tear them down, but they just get, you know, they cast aspersions, and it's just strange, man. The culture of these weirdos, as we like to call them, because they're pretty weird, you know. If they had merit, if their books sold, if they were good.
Yeah. Let's do this too. Okay. Blake Northcott is also a woman that is proud that she's a woman. And I'm just going to leave it at that. And feminists don't like that either.
I know, it's weird.
And there's
like
also
traditional beauty is bad. It's like
And
gingers
and well, I'm glad that comment came up, because this is where I was going. I wanted to dovetail with what Todd was saying. It fits perfectly with what I was saying earlier. And also with you, Art, what you were saying about idealized human forms, whether it's female or male. You know, it's no secret that mainstream comic book pro ladies are constantly commenting on Dick Grayson's butt and how he's got the greatest butt in comics and blah, 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 blah. Well, so there's that. And then what Todd was saying about traditional beauty in the real world is looked down upon by certain people. Now we're talking about Blake Northcott, who fits the stereotypical beautiful feminine woman, and she's working as a professional in the industry, right? And she's catching a lot of heat. Now, part of it is, like I said earlier, she's got the stank of the deplorables that the far left weirdos can't stand. And so there's that going against her, but she also has her appearance. And I say there's a precedent for this, because if you look at Joelle Jones, great artist, she when writing and drawing Catwoman, raised sales on that book month after month after month after month. You can see the trend line of her work correlating to sales increases on that book.
Right.
Joelle is also a traditionally feminine, beautiful woman. I never hear her praises get sung from anyone in the comics media. I never hear her praises get sung from social media. When she's at conventions, I have found like video of her interacting with fans and readers, and she's having a great time, they're having a great time, but I only find that when readers post that video. So, you know, here's a woman who has the merit that we want with writing and with drawing. I can't tell you how many times I've heard someone in Comicsgate say, how come Joelle Jones doesn't get more publicity? She's doing a great job on Catwoman.
You know why? Because she doesn't invite that kind of crap. Like, that's how I always ran my career. You know, when I say I kept my head down, I just mean it's down. I'm looking at the board, and that's it. That's my entire existence. You know, get the work done, send it in, and move on to the next assignment. And there are people that are more like, I always wanted to be judged by my work, by my contribution, not by anything else. But there are people, and I do feel it's because on some level they don't have the goods, and I'm calling you guys out that you don't have the goods. And if you do, you shouldn't resort to these kind of things. You shouldn't cancel culture. You shouldn't talk out against people. There used to also be professional code of ethics. Like, we didn't talk about other artists this way. We just kind of moved, you know, forward with things. Most of the time, we didn't know each other's political backgrounds, our religious backgrounds, or anything like that. We just worked with each other, got the work done, cracked a couple jokes, and tried to keep it cordial. You know what I mean? Just so we could have a little bit of fun while drawing our comic books. It never got that serious. Nowadays, they want a laundry list of your qualifications before you could even get hired at DC or Marvel. What was the one? Who was it that said it was recently about the Jay Lee thing? Like, was it Tom King that said they should have done a background check, or that DC should start doing some kind of background check to see what background you have or where your political leanings are or whatever. Because if they would have done that, then they wouldn't have done business with Jay Lee. Like, what the hell is this, man? What does that have to do with anything? If you're good for the job and you can do the job and you're going to make that company money, that's where it should begin and end. That's it, man. Your race, your color, all those things shouldn't enter into the equation at all, period. And that's what Comicsgate preaches. That's what I'd like to see the industry and the world get back to. And what's more accepting than that? Just moving forward and not giving a crap about any of these things, paying too much attention to them and putting a focus, a spotlight on them. It's just going to make things worse, man, because we're always going to be able to find things to fight about or to find differences of opinion. I'm sure if you push the four of us hard enough, I think you'd find a place where we differ in opinion, and that, we might even, go to blows about. Yeah, exactly. But one thing about traditionally, like it's a male trait too, is usually if it's a fair-minded guy, you find the buttons, right? You kind of test the other guy and you find out where all the buttons are all hidden. And then if you're cool, you just then don't push those buttons anymore, right? You know the parameters, and then you don't push them. And so it's just kind of understanding, every one of us have frailties. Every one of us have buttons that can be pushed. But the cool people are the ones that just don't fucking push those buttons. You know what I mean? Because they know that shit's going to happen. And these people, they don't seem to care. They'll poke the bear, they'll push the buttons. And then when something happens, then they go, oh, geez, why did this happen?
Well, and I think a lot of it too, Art, is when they know or they believe that there will not be any real consequences for bad behavior, then it's an incentive to commit that bad behavior. We grew up in a time where you weren't the average guy was not so quick to get into a fight, because besides the fact that you might or might not win the fight, there's also the fact that you might get jumped by other people around you. And even if you came out of it with not a scratch, you could face legal consequences that could land you in jail.
Yeah.
Your life could eventually be over effectively because of a single fight. So most of us wouldn't be so quick to get into fights. But, we're in with the comics industry, it used to be that if you were acting crazy, you paid for that in a professional manner.
Right.
To one degree or another. But over the last 10 years, I really think it's been going the last 20, but the last 10 have been especially bad.
You've been able to see it clearly in the last 10 years. Have you guys ever heard the joke, the Bill Burr joke, where he's like, the reason women act like this is because you can't hit them. They don't understand consequence. Like a guy understands, like what you're saying, Joe, is because another guy will pop him in the noggin, Women traditionally don't know that kind of reprisal. They don't know, that kind of heat. Guys pretty much do. I don't know about contemporary guys, because like you're saying, Joe, I think it was probably, we're a little bit age different, but you do remember the time where you could actually put a guy in his place. It was a thing. You could put somebody in their place. And then, like my daughter's generation, it became more like you rat out somebody. Like, you don't deal with the consequences on the playground, in the yard. You actually go to a teacher or somebody and you rat out somebody, and then they're the arbiters, right? They decide who's right and who's wrong. And usually it's whoever's way better at playing the victim card is the one that, gets off scot-free. And so it kind of takes the emphasis off of dealing with your own problems, and then it teaches like passive aggressive behavior. And I think that's why you see a lot more of this stuff happening. Instead of somebody dealing with it in a direct manner, they go around and they deal with things in more of a passive aggressive manner. And you're seeing more and more of that. And I just believe it's because I think society wants to feel like it's evolving, and that to deal with things in a physical way is bad. I think that's also why you see comic book superheroes not dealing with things in as much of a physical manner as they used to, where you just beat up the bad or you'd beat up the evil, physically. And so I think that things are shifting over to that. But I also think, on one hand, maybe that's good. Maybe we're not going to hurt each other physically. But what's happening is the passive aggressive, which is almost worse. Like most guys, and they've all been victim of this. And I'll say the word victim is like they would rather get punched in the head by somebody and then that guy move on, versus the mental abuse. And usually women can do it a lot better than men, where they can mess you up psychologically. And so they play that warfare. And I do think, and I'm not trying to be sexist, I think that these are the way we're built. So guys are a little stronger so that they can actually take care of things physically. Well, women don't have that. So they have to develop these other attributes to try to win in a fight, an argument, and to step up and to take care of themselves. So I'm not even saying one is right or one is wrong, but when a lot of things are done this way, when society deals with things in that one-sided way, then I think it becomes problematic, because then it's very passive aggressive, and it becomes very like I think women can do it more than men. They can go for the jugular really quickly. They can hurt you to the core. This side of it, they go right for the jugular, right? The cancel culture. That's the jugular. The jugular is the cancel part of it, and so at least that's kind of my take on it, from my just armchair, observation on things. I would like to see things shift back to some kind of normalcy. I don't think that one is all bad and one is all good, because I do think there is a time that we can use words and we can try to battle each other with wit and logic. But there are times where you have to punch somebody out too,
Well, and schools used to teach things like critical thinking and rhetoric, which are two excellent tools to use when you're trying to resolve a conflict without coming to blows.
Yeah.
Trying to talk things out. For too many decades now, schools have been teaching students what to think instead of how to think.
Right.
And they've been teaching them what to say instead of how to articulate their own independent thoughts.
Yeah.
And speaking of independent thoughts, we've got a question from Spectrum Ball in the chat. He's asking if we've noticed quite a few more fans coming to CG and realizing how insane the comic book industry is since the Tom King thing with Jay Lee. And I'll say for myself, yes, I have. I don't spend a lot of time on Twitter, but when I do, it's almost always promoting creators and projects. And even at that, I've noticed quite a few people who in the last week have been asking what CG is, or have been saying that they've kind of been looking at it and now they're, saying, hey, I'm part of you guys. I don't want anything to do with that insanity. So Art, what's your take on that?
I have seen more and more. I mean, it is growing as a whole, and I do see it as a refuge for not just fans, but for creators as well that are coming in and just trying to. And I know this is going to seem contrary to what we've been talking about for the last couple hours, but less political, because I'm not interested in, and what I mean by that is most of the people in Comics Geek aren't interested in telling people what to think or how to feel or who to vote for. I think that's the other side. The other side is preoccupied with telling you how to feel or what to think or all those things. I just think, like you said, critical thinking, think for yourself, make up your own mind, make up your own way of just kind of weeding through this. And also, this is not just comic books, you guys. This is the world that we're living in now. Comics is just a little microcosm. This is our little neck of the woods. This is our battle. And so I think, video games, the movie industry, TV, all these different, even corporations are feeling the backlash to this. And each one of us are going to have to kind of step up in our own way and say enough's enough. Because I think Clownfish did one on Red Bull, and they were talking about that Red Bull is kind of cleaning house, and they're realizing that the more SJW activist types aren't really good for business. Mm-hmm. So I think that what's going to happen is a lot of these businesses, especially in light of the pandemic, aren't going to be able to be as open to trying new things. They're going to have to revert back to like old business practices that they know are going to make money because they can't take chances anymore. And I think that's what they were doing. And I think they probably would have kept going if pandemic and certain financial things didn't happen, concerns happened recently. So I'm trying to look at like some positive that's coming out of the pandemic, which I do think is kind of somewhat correctional thinking, because I don't think industry businesses can placate that and to go in those directions like they thought that they could, because they don't have unlimited funds anymore. They have to make money or else they're going to go belly up. And when mankind is faced with these decisions, the bullshit goes away instantly, right? All the shit that doesn't matter goes away. And then all the things that truly matter rise to the top. So sometimes these things are correctional, and that you see things get worse before they get better. And so I do think that what is going to happen is we are going to see things correcting over the next couple years, because whether Trump gets in office or not, I think these businesses, unless they're going to all of a sudden start making a bunch of money, and that they can actually pacify some of these more SJW or extreme liberal antics, they're going to have to just strip it down to like, this makes good business sense, right? We're going to be able to make money here, and that's all that matters. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Zach, what do you think as far as the last 3 weeks since we covered the first article in the Whisper Network series?
Uh-huh.
That came out, and then there was the going after Tom King and Scott Snyder going after Dean Cain. There was King going after Jay Lee. There's the that ridiculous pledge not to be a pervert that a bunch of people in the mainstream, King and Snyder included, that they were trumpeting. So there's all of that stuff happening. And now we've got part 2 of this article series. Where do you see the trying to think of how to say this in a concise way. Where do you see the conversation in the mainstream industry going from this point forward, let's say in the next 3 weeks?
I would hope that, Jim Lee is looking at what's going on and is just like, this all needs to stop. And Tom King, you need to stop, and just like all of this stupid drama that's literally, it's high school drama being played out in the real world, and it has no place. The real world doesn't work this way. And it just needs to stop. And we're all out of high school. We're all adults, but they didn't want to grow up, and they need to grow the fuck up. Because it's just ridiculous. And, you know, if I would hope in like 3 weeks from now that that there would be like, you know, some repercussions from the actual publishers like DC on Tom King and stuff, you know, like because the whole entire thing with Jay Lee, that was so horrific. He just came at him, and then Jay Lee's doing the smart thing. The thing I wish I could do, I wish I was big enough to be making money directly from clients, stuff that I didn't have to use social media in order to find clients.
Yeah.
Because if I did not need it for my business, I would be off of it. I absolutely hate social media. It what Bob said, it's toxic. It's just like this toxic teenage high school mentality constantly, and it just destroys like my ideas and my creativity. And when I'm on there, and I have to purposely, you know, avoid it, but at the same time I'm getting contacted from clients that are messaging me and stuff, so I have to be on there. So it's just like, and Jay Lee's just such a cool guy. He's such a good artist, you know, and he doesn't care who he does work for. He just is like, I'm going to do work, you know, out as long as they pay me, you know, everything's, you know, cohesive, and that's the way it should be. And there's all this politicking and all this, you know, if you're what race or your gender or your political ideology, all this stuff factoring into whether or not you should be able to work and do the things.
Yeah.
That's anti-American thinking. That's extremely anti-freedom, anti-American thinking, and I want nothing to do with it. But
Well, they think that capitalism is a 4-letter word. That's you know, like this Marxist, like there is this mindset that's going on, so that they can actually condemn people that actually want to make money. Like they can vilify them and say, "Oh, you want to make money? Well, then you're part of the problem."
Mm-hmm.
How else does the world go round, you fools? Like, this is not the barter system. We're not on farms and we're not trading corn for livestock. Like, this is not the world anymore. We feed ourselves with commerce. We use money to take care of things. I would say most things in society, if not all, are taken care of with money. As much as you want like free healthcare and free schooling and all this other crap, it still costs money. Those teachers aren't going to work for free. Those doctors aren't going to work for free. So I don't know what the hell you're even talking about. You know,
it's the opposite thing where they keep claiming we have all the privilege, you know, but it's like, no. Well, I mean, if you base it off of the Smithsonian, the Black Smithsonian Museum, having white privilege means that you work hard, that you have values, that, you know, you're just a good person, and that's white privilege. And they claim that we have privilege, but if all they're trying to do is turn it so they have all the privilege, you know what I mean? They have all the I deserve everything, that, and I don't have to work.
Right? Know? It's the standard thing. Yeah, it's the standard thing.
How dare you? How dare you tell me to work and be a good person and to respect people's boundaries? How dare you? I will get up in your face with my hobo biscuits and nothing you can do about it. You know,
hobo biscuits. Hobo biscuits sound delicious. I'm hungry. But I think what they try to do is they try to turn the competition into the enemy. So you know, like we used to say, but we never meant it like, I'm going to destroy my competition. What that means is I'm going to try to be a better artist or writer than the best guy out there. But what they do is they sincerely want to, one, get the mindset that they hate that person. And then once you have that mindset, you can treat them like a villain. You could actually do unthinkable things to them. And that's what they're doing. And why they're doing that is to get rid of the competition. Like it's like psychology 101. Like, this is not even a new game plan. I can't believe anybody that's sane is not seeing through this game plan of theirs.
Have you noticed though that it's like really recently it is social media in a lot of ways. It's mostly the internet. The fact that a lot of people have the access to just so much media and stuff that they then think that media is true. Like a lot of people are living their lives like their life is a movie. You know, the rules of movies apply to life. You know, so these people are like, oh, they didn't, they watched their chick flick or whatever, and that the chick gets up the ladder, and then they're like, okay, so me to get up the ladder, this is why I got to destroy these people's lives because this is what that chick did in that movie, Right. And
which has nothing to do with real life at all.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with real life, and that's what it's really strange. Is like there's a lot of people that think that life is a movie. So when they it comes, I'm just going to do this as a quick example of like police, using less lethal things. In movies, if they tase someone, it always works. It's 100%. It always works. The actual, it's like almost 70% of the time it'll work. And that's really dangerous. I think you're actually not supposed to use a taser unless you have someone else behind you or next to you, like a partner that has their lethal weapon out just in case it doesn't work.
Yeah, because you're next. You're the victim after that. Yeah.
Yeah, because and people are like, oh, why don't you shoot him in the leg? It's because a human can take like 10 shots and still come at you and kill you.
Well, also, what I heard this, and I don't know how true this is, and maybe Joe can, because I think it was California. We used to have a law where you could do that, but like the way the police shifted it is because they were like doing non-lethal acts, but they were being sued like crazy. Yeah. So if you shoot somebody in the leg, they can testify against you, and it's hard to have a fair trial when somebody's like, this guy shot me. You know what I mean? So what they ended up doing is they said, if you pull out your firearm and you squeeze off, you shoot to kill.
Yep.
There's no shoot to maim. There's none of that kind of stuff. And I thought it came partially out of like a legal situation. Is that true, Joe?
Yeah. Well, so I have a friend who's a captain in the San Diego Police Department. And back when he was a patrolman, I remember asking him this question about, what they do as far as aiming for center mass or whatnot. Because I remember this debate in the 90s.
It's old. Yeah,
it goes back quite a ways. And he was saying that now there may have been part of the legal aspect to it, but what he told me is that the open secret within law enforcement is that not that many officers are good enough shots to be able to choose a limb that's usually moving and then be able to hit that limb with a shot. Mm-hmm. So usually when you're in a situation where you have to draw your firearm, your heart rate is going, your adrenaline is going, it's very difficult to get a perfect shooter stance. That kind of stuff almost never happens. That's all right. Stuff. So when they're in the academy and when they do their qualifications as time goes on, they're trained and they're told, as no matter how good they are, they're told, aim for center mass. If you're gonna, like you said, Art, if you have to pull your weapon, shoot to kill. And it's not anything more complicated than if you're in a situation where you have all these variables affecting your potential accuracy and your own life is in danger, which is requiring you to pull your firearm.
Right.
Preservation of your own life, you have to try and make that first shot count. And the best way to do that is to aim for center mass. Mm-hmm. And then however it goes from there, you have to react accordingly. But
because you might not get a second shot. Yeah. Like if you shoot for the leg and you miss the leg, you might not get a second shot. Right. So
back to the thing is that you see these videos and then you have all these idiot millennials and young kids and other adults that live in this warped reality of television where, one person will shoot the guy once and the guy dies, or they'll shoot him in the leg, or you know what I mean? Like this warped reality, that's something you can actually do that, that it's like, oh, that wouldn't be so hard. But then you have all these people and you see the comments, it's like, why didn't you shoot him in the leg? Well, why didn't you use your taser? And it's like, if there's a cop and it's a woman and she's like 5'5", she weighs 140 pounds, and she's up against this big black guy who is like, he technically doesn't even need to be armed, but if he comes after her, I fully expect her to just plug him with as many bullets as she has in her magazine, in her clip.
Well, I have a friend that this is also to be taken into consideration when you're going against somebody, especially somebody that's on substances that make him even harder to bring down. It was my friend's dad, and this was before he was detective, but he was a beat cop kind of thing. And he went against a guy that was artificially stimulated, let's just say. And my friend's dad is a massive dude. He is not. I mean, this guy, he also looks like a caveman. Like he's a badass looking guy. Like there are people that are built and born that just look like they were built to take care of business. You know what I mean? Like there's only one thing that person's going to do, and that guy's going to be a physical threat, hopefully on the right side of the law. But he was like, all right, it's him, it's me. This guy doesn't have a weapon. I'm going to try to take him down with moves, right? Because I'm going to try to be humane here.
Yeah.
And so he did, but this guy, what happened is this guy, if you've been in fights don't last usually longer than a few seconds,
right? Because
you're using every ounce of energy you have and you expend that energy like that. So if you have somebody can kick your ass even though you might be winning the beginning part of the fight if they could sustain you in the fight. Mm-hmm. And so what happened is, this guy is just not going down. He's not going down in a fair fight. So he was getting tired. He knew that he was probably going to lose the fight, and he had to shoot the guy. It wasn't an easy decision. He did everything he could to show this guy some kind of humanity, right? But the guy just kept coming at him. So we have to, as a society, we have to stop armchairing these things and just get on with like the fact that we don't know exactly what went on. You know what I mean? We don't know the details. So we should stop just automatically going like Zach was saying, get out the taser. Why don't you just tase him? You can just bring him down. Why don't you shoot him in the kneecap? It's not that easy, man. It's not that easy. But we're tangenting here. And
it was just about like the mindset of these crazies who just have this warped reality. And
in general, definitely.
So like in 3 weeks, it's a very tiny amount of hope that the mainstream comics will actually care or do anything about it, because they're already infiltrated. They're already deep, like knee deep, and they've already pulled so much crap that it doesn't really look like that this is going to like shift anything. If anything, it's just going to show more customers that they need to find their comics elsewhere if they want comics, which is good for us. The fact that CG did not like come out and like attack anything, like we were very, very calm and collected through this. Yes, we showed Tom King that he was an idiot, and he came out and apologized for being an idiot. So it's just like all that does is prove that we were right, but we're not on, every time that they add fuel to the fire, they're only burning themselves, because we're passively just watching themselves destroy themselves.
Just put a mirror up, you guys. Just put a mirror up. Don't play dirty pool. No hitting below the waist. Let's just hold a mirror up. And also, the reason they're afraid and the reason they come at us, I'm totally convinced of this. I used to never try to talk like this. They're jealous. They're completely jealous of us. They're scared of what we've built and what we've created. And everybody in the chat, The only reason I can talk this way is because you're supporting these books. And these dollars that are being generated right now is all because of you. And the dollars speak louder than any of our words. When these campaigns keep going up, I think Malin's, he's going up to 200,000. He's well past 100K at this point. When you see EVS do 1 million, you see Zach put up the numbers he does. This scares them. And because all their conventional outlets aren't serving them anymore. And they know that they can't build anything like what we have. They can't build this type of network. Like somebody said earlier on, they can tear it down, but they can't build. And that's what we're doing. We're building, and we're trying to be as positive as possible. Sometimes people slip. Sometimes people say things that are hateful and angry, but we're all human as well. So there's going to be some missteps, you bet, along the way. But it's what we do and how we take responsibility for those things and move forward after that. So I would like to thank everybody that's hung out for this epic stream in the chat. I want to thank all my Pontificator buddies. I really, really, really want to thank Chester Busby III for coming above, beyond, 5 o'clock in the morning, talking from, the lobby of his hotel. Was awesome. It was awesome to hear him. He always has not only great jokes, but he always has a great insight. And I do want to thank Bleeding Fool, not Bleeding Cool, Bleeding Fool and Chris Browley for bringing this to our attention, helping us out, and trying to spread the word just to balance. I talked to Chris, just to balance. We're not hell bent on changing the world, nothing like that. But we're just trying to give another point of view, and try to get some equilibrium in the world, some fairness, at least some kind of debate that we can actually talk about and try to be fair. So do you guys, Joe, do you have a parting shot?
Yeah, I'll just say that over the next few weeks, I expect to see more of the I don't know how you would put it, the snarky, snide comments from the spokespeople of the Women in Comics secret Facebook group. I expect to see more of that. And it wouldn't surprise me if in the next few weeks we see another incident or two involving a high-profile pro. And I think that we're going to see some more people looking at CG and just objectively coming to the conclusion that the insanity is outside of CG, and that we're not the so-called hate group that we've been labeled, and every other pejorative that has been used against us. Yes. So I think we're going to see some more of the same. And I think in the end, it's going to be, I think it will eventually tilt toward the better, but I think it's going to be a bumpy road before we get there.
Yeah, I do too. But we just have to keep the faith. And if we keep speaking our truth, or the truth, and the numbers, and like I said, keep hitting above the belt, man. Just make sure that they're fair, clean shots. Yep. That we're not being reduced to their level. I think we'll be fine. So Zach, what's your parting shot, man?
My parting shot is, I already said what I think. Well, I hope happens, but if everybody could check out my dad is making his own video games, and they're really cool. They're really cheesy, but he has a YouTube channel where he's putting videos of his games and stuff, and it's called Conundrum Interactive with a K. I'll go ahead and link that in the thingy. But if you guys
please do,
subscribe if you're interested in watching a person who is creative-ish attempt to make video games. So, and I'm helping him out a bit with some of it, But
That's awesome, man. That is so cool.
mostly playtesting. But yeah, no,
Somebody's got to do it. Yeah.
he retired, and he was like, I really love Unreal Engine, so I'm gonna make some video games.
So is Goma in? Do you have a pre-launch? I thought I saw something.
Oh no, I'm just posting updates and stuff.
Okay.
That kind of got messed up because my printer was like, hey, because of COVID and some of our people are out, everything's delayed, and then I lost the deal with them, so now I'm looking for someone else. So it's been a spiel with everything.
Mixem is good, so check those guys out. They're pretty good. They're taking care of us, and so there is an active campaign right now. And Todd Mulrooney backed out. He's probably got a better gig, knowing Todd, and so he's got Florida Man going right now. I think they're days away. Let me check real quick. They are 3 days out from their live campaign ending. So go check out Florida Man, Mike Barron, Todd Mulrooney, Pontificator's own Todd Mulrooney, doing the pencils and inks on that. The book looks great. It's funny. Go check it out. Back it. The link is in the description. Also, Chrono Mechanics is in demand, not as pressing, but last couple days, man, we've gotten a lot of traction. So please, guys, go check that out if you like what you see. Back a book, back one of the many tiers. It's a fun book. And we were told by the printers late next week, we will have books in hand. We will have our actual shipment of Chrono Mechanics books. Black and white books are going out as we speak. We're probably getting 20 or so books out a day. My wife, Pamela, is working her tush off. And so you guys, please keep posting those. I like seeing them. So when you get your black and white books, post those, link them. Oh, look at that. Oh, yeah. Thank you so much. You said that early on in the stream. Thanks, Zach, for backing.
We're busy.
Yeah. Do you have that card? Do you have the Zach Bradley card?
Oh yeah, I got the pack of them.
Hells yeah. Let me screen go right to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, my wife's gonna send out. I think she did send a pack out. Oh, look at that. Beautiful. Thank you so much for putting that together, Zach.
No problem, man.
Yeah, it looks awesome.
I love when you asked me, you're like, hey, can I use this as a card? I was like, oh my gosh. Art asked me to do a thing with my thing.
Well, I'll tell you right now, that thing, my wife is so generous. I think not just the pre-launch signer-uppers, and if you guys don't get one of these cards, don't call me on it. But I think she's giving everybody one of those cards just to thank them. And she really likes that artwork, Zach. I think she likes your artwork better than mine. She likes all the pretty colors. Yeah, so those are going out, you guys. And yeah, if you could post those when you get the books, post those up. Yeah, just link me in it, and I'll show those around as well. So thanks everybody. Thanks everybody in the chat, and we will see you soon. Take care.